The Drop with Frank and Brian is officially brought to you by Switch Suspension. Switch Suspension specializes in all vehicle chassis components. Lift kits, lowering kits, air ride suspension, wheels, tires, steering, and brake upgrades. They use all the best products from the best brands. And these guys are truck guys. You roll into their parking lot at the shop and they all drive custom vehicles. So they use their products that they sell on their own vehicles. So if you guys are looking for anything for your vehicles, whether you're just starting out or you just need some replacement parts or whatever, give them a call or visit their website, switchsuspension.com.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of The Drop. If you like these podcasts and all the other content we create, head on over to our websites and purchase merch. Purchasing merch keeps us going and creating more content. Our websites are grinder-tv.com and livelifecustom.com. We really appreciate it. Now on to the episode.
What I can't do is take twos. I found that out when I was NDA'd for Discovery Channel shows.
Come on. Press record.
It's recording.
Okay, it's recording.
Yeah.
Ben is just sitting here. The time I was an executive at Discovery Channel.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I can't wait to move back to New York City where I was a broker.
Yeah.
I would love to go to... I haven't been to New York City since I was a kid, and you don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I think that's what got me out and about, even on this mini truck adventure. Was like you realize like how many things in life you haven't done.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, there's stuff in my own backyard I haven't even done.
Yeah.
Like going to the Grand Canyon or,
There's
any of that kind of
Frank with this setup again. Hold on.
crazy stuff. Oh,
Sorry.
we gotta... How are these? Are these top down?
No,
speak
they're-
into?
No, they're like...
I have no experience with the new Rode mics.
This one, like pushing it forward just
What,
allows
clap
this
this
to
in?
stay back a little bit.
No, we're good.
We're not professional.
Hey, I
Brought
think
my
actually
board.
you put that one together, so...
No, I put this one together.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah,
that's
these are
fine.
nice. Rode is like made podcasters out of everybody. Huh?
Oh,
It's
they made it
super
too
easy.
easy.
It's
Yeah, they
easy,
made it
like-
easy.
I remember when I got the first board. My first
yeah.
podcast setup, right? We had cameras everywhere, right? And I had a Mackie like VLZ digital setup from my old band days, and we had this interface to the Mac and like all that. And then they come out with this board, and you're
Yeah.
like, shit, everybody's a podcast.
So-
And not only... It's easier than that
Yeah,
now.
so look at this. It's just the board is digital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great, man.
They make like the professional like series of things, but we don't need that.
Yeah.
Nah.
Just need
No.
a microphone and a light and a little camera.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, even we've like kind of like not downgraded necessarily the camera,
We've
but
downsized.
downsized.
It's
the
amazing how
camera.
much these lights changed the game, like running a photography studio, like in video.
Oh, the LED lights.
Yeah, LED lighting came in and just changed everything for us. Like,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah, it's big. It's
Just as much as podcasting equipment like this changed everything.
it made everything more accessible.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Which
Everything's
is good and bad.
Drag one light and like a jumper box with you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where you need to,
Yeah.
man.
So we're
So here we
recording.
are. Well, welcome to this week's episode.
Yeah, we're going right into it. Ben tried to talk about
I know.
some stuff. He got way ahead of it.
Yeah,
so.
wait, relax. We'll get
All
there.
right. It's the energy drink. There's a bit of a drive here. I wanted to make sure I was still amped up.
Right.
We have no AC in the truck.
Not currently, but it's not because it doesn't work. Okay? It's just because it keeps blowing a fuse.
Oh, really? Oh, so
Somehow
you-
it's tied in with the cluster,
Uh-huh.
with the actual
Tinfoil
pages.
will take care of that, and you just hold it. Just carry a fire extinguisher with you.
Right, yeah. Just or
What's more important to you, the AC or your truck burning down?
I guess I've lived here so long it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I remember the first vehicle I had that had AC, and I was like, wow. And that was only like 7 years ago.
That's funny.
Ask Frank about AC.
But ask me about what about it?
You and AC, like even when we were in the Maverick
Oh, yeah,
yesterday,
yeah.
you're just like it's. Just,
I have to have it ice cold. Like when we're driving, I don't
Yeah.
I have to have it ice cold, which is strange because like I don't like being cold. Like the weather being cold, I hate being cold. But when I'm driving, it's just like I don't know. It has to be pointed at my face. Has to be ice cold
For sure.
I drive like the whole family out of the car.
there was a
Everyone-
little freak out when we went to Mini Nats and my AC took a rock through the condenser, so we didn't have any. And there was a little freak. He goes, "So, what are we gonna do about that on the way home?"
and he's like nothing, and I'm like, okay, that was it was an uncomfortable ride.
I get him like those cooling vests and jackets.
Yeah.
like
Something.
the
I like,
motorcycle guys
Which
wear.
it was totally fine on the way home. It wasn't hot at all, but like he has to have the cold air physically blowing.
It was not very comfortable. It was not very fun.
I'll do that like
mind.
hotel stays, like Disneyland or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, crank that.
First thing you do is get in and crank
Yeah.
it down just to cover up. Like,
Yeah.
okay. You know, like,
You're all
the
this
place
is
has got to
this
be
is
chill.
free. This is part of
After a full
I gotta
day
pay
at
for
Disney,
it.
you want to come back to an ice cold like meat locker. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Got to use that free AC. Yes.
All right, I gotta make
But yeah, so we're sitting here with Ben. Ben and
Do it. Do the last name.
Brian cannot get it.
I can't. I never can get it.
I feel like this is what people do with you and your last name, and it's really like the simplest thing, right? It's just Tirpak.
Tirpak. Yeah,
You just say it like
I don't know why it messes me up.
Yeah, like
it's everybody.
time.
It's not you. So,
But because the R comes after the T, right? TRP.
TIR.
T-
Yeah. Look at how I had to
T-
think about it. I was like TIR.
Yeah, it's Tirpak.
Yeah, it's like Tupac.
Maybe I don't see the I, and I'm just like, why is
You're
it?
really having some sort of
It's probably like all
disconnect or something.
squished and tight on the Google
Yeah.
fonts or something.
So we're sitting here with Ben. Ben, I think in the truck world and like people who like know you in our world know you for your truck, like the Toyota
Yes.
that you're building. But
fair.
we are way more interested in finding out about
Oh my
you,
gosh.
you as a person, because like you and I talk often. We see each other at shows and we like chop it up and everything like that. And every once in a while you'll say something, and I'm like, what? I remember you, and I may be making this one up, and you could correct me, but I remember you saying something about you were in Mexico and got into it with a cartel.
That was a long time ago.
Okay,
Like,
but that's what I'm saying. You're like normal conversation. Yes, this is my Toyota. It's black. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And they're like, yeah. And then yes, one time I was mixed up with a cartel in Mexico, and I'm like, huh?
yeah, so I had a friend who had a really nice Toyota back in the day, right? And it was like that 85 to 88 square bed rails, the kind that I would just love to get my hands on nowadays if anybody has one, you know, I'm just saying.
84 to 88 with a Japanese bed.
Yeah.
Oh, so nice, right? Well, we're down in Mexico because you're young and you're dumb and you're going to experience spring break, and you don't realize that down there, people
It's
take life a little bit
rowdy.
more seriously.
Now, what part of Mexico?
It was just spring break, so like Rocky Point, you know,
Oh,
it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
anything
okay.
crazy.
You just showed me
you know?
that.
Yeah.
That's that place down there.
No, it's like JJ's. I mean, I'll use the air quotes. Very probably more white people per capita than there is, like
Yeah.
you know, at certain times of the year. It was totally safe, but not safe if you step on the wrong person's toes, which is kind of what happened with us. It was just wrong place, wrong time. You know.
and you almost got murked by the cartel.
Well, he didn't come home with his wheels. We had to figure out how to get that truck back.
They
True
took
story.
They took your wheels.
Yeah, well, he took his wheels.
They took his wheels.
Yeah.
Well, as like you just,
Payment for being
Yeah, you
in
just
their
got
neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah,
So they're
straight
like,
up, man.
So we used to go riding in like not San Felipe, but
It was totally self-inflicted, though. We were young and
Yeah.
being idiots. And,
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, we used to keep.
disrespectful.
I had a Mitsubishi pickup truck, and we would put the quad in it, tow
Yeah.
the trailer down and stuff, go riding. And this was not San Felipe; it was on this side of the Gulf. But we used to keep our cash in the A pillars of the truck.
Yes, sir.
And then we would keep some cash on us because you can't not keep cash on you because then they know you're hiding all of your cash.
Correct.
So if you it didn't it only happened to us when we were crossing the border because we crossed through Mexicali one time instead of what's the one down here in Arizona, the crossing.
Through Gila Bend, Yuba, and all that.
Yeah, so instead we went through Mexicali one
Yeah.
time, and the guys were like, "We want the pink slips to all these bikes."
Oh,
there was
wow.
probably
Yeah.
10 bikes, and we're like,
I've
"We're
heard
not
those
bringing, we're
stories.
not bringing the pink slips through." And they're like, "Well, if you want to cross through, we need pink slips."
Uh-huh.
And then we're like, "Well, how much?" And they're like, $50 per bike.
Dang, that's
So
kind of
we're like-
expensive.
yeah. So everyone paid because you don't want to bring. You're not taking your pink slip with your
right.
bike.
Oh yeah.
down
Yeah.
there.
No, that'd
Correct.
be silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. So yeah. Okay. So
And with
that.
federales, that's typical the case. We've all experienced that. You know, been in Jeeps before, and we've dealt with that. You always have cash, a little bit in your shoe, a little bit in your back pocket, a little bit under the brim of your cap, right? Because you don't want to cough it all up at once. You're going to have to pay bribes again later. At least if you're having a
This
good
is a
weekend.
multi-step thing.
Well,
Yeah.
the SoCal guys, all my buddies used to go to TJ to party when under 21. So
Sure.
that's where you could drink. And yeah, I remember one of my buddies got caught taking a piss
Oh.
by a cop, and he's like, "You don't want to go to jail, so how much cash do you have on you?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, gave him some cash, and he's like, "All right, get out of here, don't do it again."
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's one of many stories I'm sure that you have. So I think we need to start like how did Ben go from, because like you had a magazine, you started podcasts, like
Yeah.
you did so many things. So let's start there. Like how did you get from that into the truck stuff? Like we'll get into the truck stuff later. I really want to just focus like on
Yeah, because usually in this truck scene, a young kid will come up through the truck scene. It's not usually where it's just like you've been in a while and then this like guy the same age as us appears and makes like a little splash.
Yeah.
Kind of bursted on.
Yeah.
I know, and it kind of, I know it ruffles some feathers with some people, which is weird because I
That-
thought we were all
that is
older
weird.
and wiser and got past all that. But
Yeah.
that's not necessarily always true. There's still some
You-
salty dudes out there.
well, yes, there's always salty people
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
That's every scene and that's every world. For me, everything kind of happened basically. We'll start like when I was 40. When I was 40, I was unemployed. And it was by choice because I was working with my guy. Like most people, you give yourself to everyone, loading trucks, doing hard, blue collar labor stuff. And then your boss, after so many years, is like, hey man, like I know those checks aren't cashing, but I'll make it right. And I was just kind of like, nah, man. Like I got 2 kids now, and I want to do things and go places and build stuff. And at the time, that lifestyle was kind of working out for me because I would have summers off, and that was cool. But now, like, you got to be that responsible. I'm turning 40. I got no retirement. I got no this. I got no, and that's kind of what kickstarted the like. We got to make some changes. And I had met a buddy of mine who was running a photography studio. I didn't know nothing about photography. Truth be told, to this day, I don't know if I've taken a good photo ever. And I still run a magazine. We're online right now. Like,
you still do that?
It's still current. It's still going. It's changed hands, as you guys listening to the show are very aware of, right? Like, it's changed hands 3 times now at this point.
Yeah. Is it because so what's the magazine called?
It's Skillset magazine.
Yep. And it's like guns and ammo type
it's
thing, or
redefining the alpha lifestyle.
Yeah.
And pretty much all that means in a nutshell is you take like Maxim and you take a gun magazine and you smush them together and you just have this American magazine. We thought growing up, like riding quads in the back of truck in Mexico is what every red-blooded American did back in the day. I didn't know that was like politically charged or motivated at some point. I thought we just all liked fireworks and shooting guns, and we had maybe 1 or 2 too many beers. We were not maybe the most responsible as younger people, but as I got older now and I had kids of my own, you start to understand, all the kind of liberties and awesome stuff that this anomaly called America allows us to have. I mean, you can run a bead store successfully and make a good living.
Yeah.
Like,
we're selling like rocks.
You can sell blankets on the side of the street, and I am not putting anybody down when I say this. I mean, like, you can seriously have whatever, and now with the phone, could you imagine like being a kid having a phone? Like, you don't have to leave your bedroom.
Yeah, imagine making
YouTube, Twitch,
Instagram reels of the lemonade stand.
The first dude I met in this scene when my truck was static, right? He was getting checks from Instagram and TikTok, and I was like, dude, your truck is a turd. How are you doing this?
And that person
was his
shall
hustle,
not be named.
and that was his motivation, and I fed off of it, and I loved it. And I was like, it was right at the right time getting back to that turning 40 thing and entering this magazine and entering this photo studio. I always considered myself a number 2. I'm a really good number 2. In other words, you own the business. Let me help you make the money, keep the lights on. Are we done? Because I want to go home. I got stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm very good. Just I don't want all the on me. That's not good. That's not. I got to pay the taxes, the bills, the lights. Cut your check. That's probably not a good position for any of us.
You're really good at like executing the ideas.
And somehow that's how I ended up becoming editor-in-chief where we are now of the magazine that I run. Because as it changes hands, I'm blessed with the fact that people recognize that I have this talent to just be me and literally have free reign to what the brand is.
Yeah.
And
so has it changed hands like corporation wise? Like like the parent companies? Same with like
big companies too.
Like Street Trucks is owned by like a much bigger company, and it's changed
Matter
hands.
of fact, at one time Engage was looking at purchasing us 6 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was after Enthusiast Network, and there was kind of a bidding war for us. What had happened was we started a brand along with a buddy of mine who was working in a photography studio. He's a retired Marine, and we figured we were going to have some fun for a year and go back to real jobs. That's really the long and short of it. And it just kind of exploded. It was 2016-ish.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't a lot of content like what we were doing. And all we were doing was pretty much what you guys were doing. I think is one of the reasons I gravitated to watching your guys' show and you guys kind of take off and grow on this trajectory is it's very similar to what happened to us.
Because it's more of a lifestyle.
My buddy had, that's 100%
It's you were doing these things anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We were just pressing record.
Yeah.
And in that space, I guess I use the term firearm space because that's pretty much where we were. We were shooting all the catalogs, all the magazine covers, all the models, all the photo studios, everything for all the big brands out there in the firearm space. And I mean like the big ones, like Glock, like Magpul, like,
But
the
that
big stuff.
space didn't have more of the lifestyle fun.
But it didn't have this.
Yeah.
There was no face to any of these brands. And we came on and just pressed record. We had a studio of like 1,800 square feet that grew into 4,500 square feet really quick. And then we were NDA'd by different TV shows that wanted to run us as reality shows. Then we were building derby cars and lemons cars. And we were doing all kinds of just rad stuff that other companies were paying for because they just wanted to be a part of it now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I went from being the guy that was just loading trucks to the guy that just gets paid to run his mouth. And my buddy, God bless him, he's doing a whole nother business venture now. He's totally left that world behind. And he he had never even listened to a podcast.
Really?
And the whole reason we started this podcasting venture was because magazines, print was already dead when we started magazines, so we had nothing to lose.
Yeah, it was around
this
that
thing was
time.
not going to
So
last.
this is around 15.
So nobody
16.
can understand why we were. Nobody can understand in 2016 how you could start a magazine.
Yeah.
That was only available at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
And now sell it and make it. Well, you can't.
Right.
Sorry to break everyone's bubble, but you can't. You can't. But the illusion of reality sometimes makes it bigger than what it is. And what people did like was this. They liked the people they tuned into every week.
Yeah.
So
long form conversation.
Yeah. And we were given it in a space where that just wasn't normal. We were Instagram live. Instagram was brand new. Nobody was on Instagram at that point. We were on Twitch. Nothing like us was on Twitch.
Yeah.
You know, like we were different and we were engaging. You know, you could jump on, live comment, we'd reply. You could see us at the racetrack on the weekend. You can come cruise with us on Saturday night, you know. I think I bought this truck 2 years into that world happening and just drove it every day.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah, because you just posted this picture of it being stocked the other day.
Yeah.
So you're in that space, you're in that world, you're kind of figuring out your where you're at, and then this thing happens and it's really good and you're having a good time, everything's working out. You buy this truck to kind of daily it.
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
And then everything went away.
That is really what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, so like everything changes, everything stalls out. How did the truck go who did you meet? Like how did that?
That's an interesting thing too, because I think a lot of people, and I don't know if you guys get this or not, because you encounter a lot more people than I do, because you're vending at tables, you're at events all across the country. But one of the things, the common misconceptions, people will come to me and they'll think like I planned all this, or I fake all this, or like that guy that's pretending to not know something or not know people. Or
they think it's all like a ruse.
I think we're so comfortable with reality TV now that people think it's just a gimmick or it's an act. But I knew no one, to answer your question.
Yeah.
I didn't know one guy with a mini truck.
And
to this day, I think I've only ridden in 2 or 3 other mini trucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you were living in the same place that all this whole time happened?
Same place.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing was, like, I had a mini truck way back in the day. I always considered myself a mini trucker, and then life kind of happens and gets in the way of all that.
So you were a mini trucker, but not in the sense of like making it your kind of like you didn't get in a club.
Your
back
personality.
then.
Never had been in a club.
Yeah, you just enjoyed the mini truck part of it.
Yeah, and what pushed me away was just all the like drama back then, and then having family and kids of your own, and you're just like, I kind of got to focus on this right now, guys. Like I don't. This is silly.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just kind of was silly. But cars was something that I always was brought up with cars, man. Like from a young age, I used to race figure 8 and demolition derbies and all that dumb stuff, and. You know, you work at junkyards, and I worked in a chrome shop, and I thought cars were always going to be my life. I took the tour out there at UTI where Severed's held every year, and I realized, man, I don't want to change oil for a living, so I tapped out of that. You know, I very much have always been good at knowing what I didn't want to do.
Well, that's important.
That's actually like I've never
important.
really heard that said before like that, and that is important.
It's very important because right now, as I sit before you, I don't know what next year holds. I don't have a plan. I still don't know. I'm still winging it. And as the guy that's in charge, that's probably not a good thing to say. So I hope my employer isn't watching.
You're my hero.
I used to tell everyone I had Peter Pan syndrome. I just don't want to grow up. Man.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like grow up in the sense of get old, get responsibility in it. But like so often you see people like lose passion for what, and I did. It happened to me.
Yeah.
And COVID really, like, that period where the world shut down, none of us had ever lived through that before, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, raise your hand if you saw that coming.
Yeah.
And the truck, in a way, getting back to the truck, it saved me. Because now I could go out in the garage, and I was like, man, all those nights that I fell asleep thinking someday I'm going to have another truck.
Yeah.
And someday, like, I built this truck 100 times in my head. You know? As silly as that sounds.
You almost built it 100 times in your garage.
And it needs built again. It's funny by the time you start something, even by the time you finish it, you're like, man, I should have done this better.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
There's one of those in the garage.
Yeah.
That is the I look at every day. I go, should have done that. Shouldn't have done that. But yeah, so getting kind of back into that, like, did you just like get the truck and then you're like, okay, I want to lower this thing. I want to. Who did you meet, or how did you did you go to a show? Like, how did that trajectory happen?
So in Arizona, we have like a local meet. It's like in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's called Pavilion, Scottsdale Pavilion. It's a rock and roll car show. It happens every Saturday. I live 5 minutes from there. I can't help it. Don't hate me. So I go there because it's hot rods, it's supercars.
Yeah, there's like a section
occasionally-
for everything.
Yeah, and back in the day, in the 90s, mini trucks had to park way over there because
really?
they didn't want us there. The old Boydsters were all that were allowed, and mini trucks.
The old Scottsdale natives.
That being said, it would be, you would go out there on a Saturday night and it would be Severed Ties, it would be Acrophobia, it would be Forever Low, it would be Farside, it would just be like all these trucks, all these characters, all these names and people you guys talk about, and everybody from the magazines that you would grab off the store, like, wow, these people are here. Like, it's crazy. So I still get to go there every Saturday. So I go there in this truck, get no love because it's a piece of crap. And it doesn't matter because there's no mini truckers there anyways.
Yeah.
What's happened now that's totally different is people come up to you and they want to know about that truck.
Yeah.
'Cause
Right.
They haven't seen this before. They don't know about that.
Yeah.
And now this tuner movement, this post Fast and Furious world that we live in has happened. And they're kind of the outcasts out
Yep.
there that nobody else wants. And I find myself hanging out with them.
Yeah.
So that's actually the first crowd that accepted me. And that's how I know so many Hawaiian dudes and have so many static buddies. And
Because it's the
they're
same.
kind of into that.
It's the same mentality, just a different vehicle.
It's totally, if you look at like what tuner kids are doing now, the takeovers, all that stuff that's a bad name, like I know you guys don't want to hear it, but like that was us, man.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
We were doing
That's
all
true.
that dumb stuff.
Yeah.
We just didn't have cameras to get caught.
Yeah.
But we weren't making the best decisions on weekends.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we were.
Oh, we were just talking to Nick last night, and we talked about that infamous, drag session with the crash and stuff. Like that essentially is the same thing. It's
Yeah,
a little different, but
It's okay. So yeah, you go over to an intersection. It's not the best idea to shut the intersection down. Most of these most of them, calm down, take place late at night in a city where you're not. It's like you're not like going there. Like you're not like they're ruining my time in this city that I'm not in. I'm at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the drag thing, when you look back at the low life drags, the surface drags, all those drags, these guys shut down freeways, lowered their trucks down, and threw sparks everywhere.
Right.
There's people driving, and they're like, "What
they're
is
like,
going
"What's
on?"
What is going on?
Yeah, you're impeding other people's lives doing dangerous things.
yeah.
Let's not
That-
act all
that's
high.
the
We
point
don't,
that
we,
you're
that,
making,
we
is
don't
like,
need to
it's
act
kinda
high.
the
And,
same.
yeah, we don't need to act high and mighty all the time and like degrade the people doing. They are doing dumb stuff. I get it, but we also
Right.
did dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like to that point, to use the word drag again, if I can think back to my dad, I'll just use my dad in the situation and the stories when I was growing up and where they used to drag race on public streets, and it was a small town and the cops didn't even chase them because they knew where they lived because it was a town of 1,000 people and there would just be a ticket on the front window or a boot on the car or like, I think it's just kind of a generational thing. Like, it's
That's
just
what
a
I've
different
always
vehicle
said.
now.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you were 20 now and for 1,000 down, you could go buy a 300 horsepower Dodge Charger?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 89 horsepower Nissans we fell in love with. Like, it's a little different world.
That's true.
We didn't have. I had cameras back then because I had my own little video camera that I would record us doing dumb stuff in. But
Yeah.
now it is a little different with the cameras because
Yeah.
people are like, we did it.
When you see it, the cameras come out, and it'll go from one guy doing a burnout to 5 people doing dumb stuff now.
Yeah.
Just because they see
Yeah.
the phones out.
Yeah, we used to record our stuff for us to watch, not for everyone else to watch.
Yeah.
And when we did things, we didn't want to get caught. And it just seems with the phones, it's more of like a fame thing. Like I want to show off type thing.
But also, this same thing used to happen at truck runs too. It's like contagious. It's like one guy starts doing a burnout or dragging,
Yes.
and you're like, I want to do that, and it's like it's the same
it's
mentality.
It's a dick measuring contest.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
We're all
Well,
crossing streams.
Yeah, but like you said, I've always maintained that it's like it's everybody tries to act like this next generation is like, oh, these kids don't get it, or these kids are wrong, or these kids are they're just like doing things wrong, but. Yeah, it's the same thing, man. Like,
I go to
our generation did that. Our dad's generation, their dad's dad,
Yes.
did crazy crap.
I go to a fair amount of meets weekly locally. I think I went out like 4 times this past week.
That's awesome.
And within that, you have different subcultures of people. You'll see the like no takeover stickers on cars. You'll see kids that are like 19 years old go over, hey, shut it down, man. You're going to get us kicked out. What are you? There's people amongst
They're the straight edge of the cake.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, get on that dude, because like he weighs like 100 pounds. I wouldn't be like saying nothing to that. But it's pretty cool that they're like trying to police their own because
Yeah.
they know they have a precious
Well, everything
thing they don't wanna
goes
get
in
shut down.
cycles. Everything, the pendulum always swings
For sure.
hard. hard this way, and then eventually it settles down in the middle. There's always that pushback. And that's kind of cool to hear that there's like a little bit of self-policing in there.
Yeah.
And also, it's also not unique to just one group of people. Like we talk about takeovers, and we talk about like guys who drive like Chargers or stuff like that, and people seem to peg them. But then we just recently went through that thing with LST with the dudes with the lifted trucks. Yeah. Same mentality, different vehicle, same outcome.
Yeah,
it's just
I don't want to say that was unique, but that what happened there with the grocery store and all that stuff, like. You don't go to places where people are trying to just do normal life stuff. Like that was 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. in a grocery store parking lot. Like that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like go
the certain circumstances are different.
Yeah. When we used to go street racing in SoCal, and we did it Friday nights, Saturday nights, and Wednesday nights, and we would do it in the industrial part off Van Buren and the 60 right there. So there was no one there. Everyone was gone from work. We were not like. I always think like, imagine your mom walking into the grocery store,
and then
there's like trying to find this parking
dude
space.
Rides by on a motorized scooter with a stop
or
sign,
just doing burnouts, and she's trying to find a parking spot. Like that is kind of
not
like
cool.
No, that's not cool. But if you're just doing it in the back of the grocery store and there's no one there and there's these loading docks, that's kind of like that's different. You know, I mean, there's grown men on TV that drag race
for sure.
They have TV shows on Discovery Channel.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They're doing it in the back. They're not doing it in the front. So.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely different circumstances and stuff. I was just talking about more like the mentality that causes that, about how like
you're
it's
young
like,
and rebellious.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Exactly.
We want to be seen. We want to be cool. I mean, like I've seen my truck. Clearly, I like attention.
You're bright green on white wheels.
The young and rebellious turn.
How many colors of graphics can I put on my truck?
The young and rebellious that go out and do rebellious things turn into the old and rebellious that stay at home and complain about it on the Facebook community groups.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah,
that is.
Back
very
in
true.
my day, we didn't do that.
This new generation.
I do it. I'll be sitting here and someone will fly by on a side by side, and I go. Chelsea pulls up. She's bumping her car. All my stuff's shaking. I'm like, turn her stereo down.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Like so. It's just one of those things. But back to the truck thing. So
this is going to be horrible for keeping on topic. I'm the worst at it.
No, it's
so
fine.
are we. We've been told that too.
Yeah, someone.
This is
many people have told us.
Many people have told us. We have a little. What is it?
Oh no! With the recent complaints about your guys' show, I'll be the one that kills it, huh?
No,
oh, no.
We do a good enough job of that ourselves.
They're starting to play right now.
It's all going down.
Yeah, this show never even airs. It's the one that doesn't air.
That'll be the one.
The secret episode.
Yeah. The next cover of Mini Trucking. I'll be that guy. I was going to be on.
Yeah. And then the magazine shut down.
Yeah. Exactly.
I swear I was going to be on the draw. Look, I screenshot their story.
Ben, stop lying. That's Photoshop.
Like, oh my God. That's
yeah, where were we
we're entering. Yeah, we were just talking about how we.
As far as the truck thing with me goes, I didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I didn't know a single person that had a bad truck. I'm trying to.
Because you didn't keep up with the old cats in Arizona that are
all.
still into it. Like
I was a jerk. Nobody wanted me around. I wasn't a good person most of my life.
I got some
couldn't
news.
tell that.
I got some news for you. Neither were any of those mini truckers in Arizona.
And so at your time, and I don't know how you guys were, but growing up, everybody I hung out with was 4 to 5 years older than me. Mm-hmm. I'm going into high school hanging out because they all had their license.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I want to hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the people you should be hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
And some of my mentors, the older guys you look up to that teach you how to turn wrenches that are no longer with us and stuff, those are the guys I look up to. And those guys, well, they probably weren't the best guys either.
Yeah.
And, you spend 10 or 20 years trying to figure your life out, and I don't know, like then the midlife mini truck crisis happens, and you just find yourself wanting to build a mini truck again.
And then you just body drop your own truck.
Well, that's because like the being a mini, like we took a different journey as mini truckers than you did, and that's the interesting part to me, because most of the mini truckers I know have been doing it. They got in it and stayed in it.
Yeah.
Whereas you just kind of dabbled, and then now you're in it, but you came in it from like the side. You're just like, wham, you know what I mean? And then utilize it, like going to a bunch of car shows, driving your truck, doing all the YouTube channel and all that stuff. So that's the interesting part to me. When I see people that being in it for so long, having the magazine.
That's not normal?
No. I don't know. I don't know. You just don't usually see older guys, us now,
right,
like just deciding to
I thought it
start
was
mini
just all
trucks.
us
Right.
Old dudes that were just like, I thought everybody my age was just kind of falling back into this.
But do you know anyone like falling back into it's different? But like, do you know anyone that's like just start like, oh, I'm
was just like,
45, I'm gonna
just
start
gonna build
being a
this-
mini truck.
Yeah.
I guess not.
No, I think you're the only one.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
neat.
guess not.
Yeah. Well, not just starting being a mini trucker, but like going hardcore.
Yeah.
Like driving your truck to
Is that
shows.
hardcore? See, this is like the
Yes,
topic that everybody
yes.
wants to talk about all the
It's-
time.
Who else drives their truck to shows?
3 things, guys. 3 things. Like, listen, this is what we did back in the day going to truck runs.
Yeah, that's what
Like,
I'm saying,
I
though, like-
wanted to be those cool guys
Yeah.
so bad, and
Yeah.
I was always looking across, like, man, there's the Sever dudes, and and I wanted to be those guys
Yeah.
so bad. I was like, those guys are cool, man. You know, relaxed atmosphere, all these clubs, and you know, I didn't have the funds or nothing. I didn't like. But they didn't stop us from building
Yeah.
and going on these adventures and breaking down. And now I'm like old, and I have credit cards and a cell phone and AAA. Like, why wouldn't you drive
Yeah,
your truck?
exactly. Yeah, you have all. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's because you don't make excuses. I will make an excuse to not drive my truck. Like I drove my hard body to Cruise of the Pines. First time I've driven.
That was great seeing it on the road.
Yeah.
Watching that adventure unfold and happen.
Yeah,
and
that-
then
it was
driving alongside
amazing.
of you was so cool.
But that was like I hadn't driven a stick shift standard cab mini truck in I don't know how long. You know, my Tacoma was my daily forever.
Yeah.
But there was a gap there where I bought my Titan and had this big truck with all these amenities and like it just drove nice and all this stuff. Getting back into a standard cab stick shift mini truck and driving it at length.
You're like,
I was like,
I don't know.
This is the most uncomfortable experience I've had in a long time. My leg hurt, all this stuff. And then I was like, I'm not as hardcore. Like, I think I'm a pretty hardcore mini truck guy,
Yeah.
but I'm going to trailer my truck to shows.
Yeah.
Far away.
Well, when I can
But
afford a truck and trailer, I'll let you know.
Right now, you're like, this is the only way I can make this
I
happen.
sold my big truck and trailer years ago because we weren't using it.
Yeah.
The family was scared of quads. I had one of those crazy like quads that everybody gets. It's so loud. Your 5-year-old's like,
Oh yeah.
Banshee?
you know? And yeah, it was a Honda 400
Oh, yeah,
EX, extended swing arms,
Yeah.
crazy pipes. And then I had the like cool wife rides with her dog kind of quad, you
Yeah.
know? And so we had both, but the point was like we weren't using them. I'm just like, nah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
some stuff for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of what I'm
You-
saying is like, I say hardcore because I'm just like, man, he drove that.
Yeah.
Like he did, because
I guess I didn't realize it was a thing until people started asking me and telling me and making a big deal out of it.
yeah, because
You know,
no one, like, look at Forbidden. Who from Phoenix drove their mini truck to Forbidden? Who
I
from
was surprised by that actually.
there's a lot. I have a lot of friends in Australia, and they're like, "Why don't I see?" He's like, "I see you guys take photos. You're leaving for a show. There's 7
Yeah.
trucks on trailers."
Yeah.
He goes, "Why isn't anyone driving them?"
There's more trailer parking than there is.
I said, "Because we're also in a different country where we're used to big trucks and trailers. Where
Yeah.
they're really not. So I maybe that's a thing, but like,
It's an extension of your Mini at that point, right? You have a nice big lifted truck, a nice trailer. You have your family; they're comfortable in the truck.
Yeah.
That's what it comes
Your
down
dog.
for me.
I mean,
is
I
like
get
it's a
it.
comfort thing. Like my whole thing. Well, it's kind of like a 2 thing. Like going through this whole thing with trucks and trailering and stuff. I used to trailer trucks because they weren't reliable enough to make it anywhere where I was
Right.
going to go. But I also convinced myself that it's better because then I could load the truck up, go to the show, go to like a run, cruise it around, drag it. If it breaks, then just load up on the trailer and go home. Like it was never a thought in my mind that I would have to figure out, okay, now the truck's broken. Now I need to figure out how to get it home. It was
fair.
always like, screw it. We'll bash the crap out of it, throw it on the trailer and go home and everything will be okay. So
yeah,
And that's probably the weird part that I get when people see me like at Rockies or something, and I'm still dragging at 11 o'clock at night. And they're like, "Don't you have to drive that home?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
dude, you are a G when it comes to that kind of stuff. your bald tires.
Well, I mean, like, you know, and that's kind of silly. I mean, I bought 2 for the front. Like, I could buy all 4. The pocketbook's a little better than before, but you're just kind of like.
Well, it's
I'm in
interesting.
the process of like I'm always wanting to be changing rims, so I don't want to put tires on those rims
Oh,
now.
that's
Knowing
true,
that
yeah.
other rims are coming, and
Yeah.
you know, like it's just I'm weird.
you're just having fun.
That's it. I'm not really thinking it or planning it all the way through. I think a lot of people think that I do, and I don't. Most of the shows I went to, I found out about the week before.
Yeah,
You're just like, let's go.
And you're just like, let's go.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean,
You
there are
know?
quite a few people in the scene who are like that. And I guess, like, if you really deconstruct it, like, the attitude is like, well, what if something went wrong? We'll
It's
figure it
you go on
out.
a trailer,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
That's
figure it out.
Yeah.
right? You call your good friend.
it is
It's one of those things.
Yeah, and I admire the lack of excuses is what I think because we all make excuses.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's easy to make excuses.
it is. It's super easy, especially when you have the truck and the trailer, or you just like, there is no reason for it not to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when my Tacoma's done, I'm going to have AC in it. I'm going to have all this stuff in it. Like, I'm going to make sure I see you posting all this stuff and I go, I can't wait till the Tacoma's done. And when the Tacoma's done, if I'm not going to these things, that's just me making excuses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It will be me making excuses. And I hope that I don't do that, because if I do that, I feel like, why did I do this? Like, why did I build the truck if I'm not going to actually go out and enjoy it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I think so many people, I mean, even you with the 4Runner, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh
we
yeah,
talked
I'm
about
not.
that. Like,
I'm just as guilty as that.
it's like we are so good at these excuses and we're not having fun. And it's like, what can we do to get back to having fun? And that's what's cool about your YouTube channel, is because like you're showing that. Like,
That's cool. That's probably been the hardest part of the whole thing that was also unplanned. I dabbled with YouTube just to like, I'd never been on a plane until I was like, I don't know, 30 something. I'd never been
40
to,
something.
Yeah, right. So like, I was feeling you. When I was like, oh, I still kind of know what that feels like.
I know, yeah.
And I had never been to an amusement park. Disneyland to this day is the only thing that I've ever been to, other than like Halloween Horror Nights for horror stuff, right? Like, we didn't grow up that way, like, right? And I think the YouTube thing was like, now I have a family and I just kind of I want to remember these moments.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I want to go back and look at them. I want to sit there on Christmas or when I'm feeling down and just crank this up and go, oh, look at my daughter. She's so cute.
Yeah.
Or there's my son. You know, my son wanted to go to Forbidden Fantasy for his 16th birthday.
Oh, really?
And
That's
like
cool.
to document that now and be able to watch that shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool, man. It's forever.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's where that YouTube just like,
it's like a photo album.
yeah, and I'm old and forgetful, and it helped me like go, oh, that's where that wire went. I could go back and watch the video.
Oh,
Well, you got to
there you
you got to
go.
remember you have to
You know?
remember to hit record to do that.
Oh, it's so hard. Everybody asked me the hardest part about body drop in that truck.
It's filming
and
it.
the run, and it was.
Yeah.
It's and it's really good. Like, just getting up off the couch and doing stuff makes you so much better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And like you hear all those stupid, like you guys, you crack me up, man. Like, you crack me up with the like, oh, people that just put those cliches of black stuff,
Oh, yeah.
the letters, like the motivational.
Yeah.
But so much of that crap is true. Like, and it sucks because really, like, if you wait to be perfect at something, like, you really won't ever be perfect at it. You won't get good. If you don't just get out, like, if I waited to be a great welder that no one's going to laugh at my welds, I won't have a mini truck.
Well,
if I wait to save money to have a 10-color graphic paint job, I'll never have it. Like,
Right.
So
Well, I
you
think
just
that's
kinda
the
gotta
difference.
Go for it sometimes.
That's the difference. So is we make fun of that stuff because you're doing that.
Right.
The people that post that stuff
That's exactly what I
are
was
not
gonna say.
doing that.
Yeah.
They're posting that to make themselves feel good about something.
Yeah.
Right,
It,
right.
it is a weird thing.
It is a weird thing because it's like, if you're just constantly posting motivational stuff rather than just doing, like if you're doing it, you don't got to post about
Yeah.
it.
The other thing
That's
weird
the
is
part
that
where we poke fun at it.
The
Yeah.
other thing that's weird that seems to go hand in hand with people that are, and we know who you are. We're watching you right now.
I know who you are.
The people that post all that stuff, they're also the same ones that they'll be the must be nice people. Like the
Yes.
first one that jumps on your, like, you know, you're at a car show again, must be nice. kinda attitude.
Or I don't do that anymore because it's changed now. Back in the day, it was better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The back in the day.
Yes.
The back in the day.
The back in the day.
It-
but
it's not
some
like
people
it
don't
used to
realize
be.
that we're all on our individual journeys, experiencing it at different times in our lives.
Yeah.
And my trajectory right now is for me to be here doing this podcast about my trip. So, why you got to poop on me? Like, just be happy.
Yeah.
Get on with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back in the day people are just like, oh yeah, what is that saying that they say? It's not back in the day. It's like the good old days.
The good old days. Yeah.
And it's
it's not like it used to be.
It's not like it used to be. And it's like,
thank
no,
God it's
it's
No, it's exactly like it used to be.
It is like it used to be, but you're choosing not to do
Right.
the things.
Their
Or they'll say
perspective
like,
changes.
oh, mini truck, it's not like it used to be, so I don't go.
Which
And
is
I'm like,
weird because outside looking in, it really seems a lot like the same way I remember it. There's different clicks, there's different levels. You can't get mad at people because they're all hanging out. They're friends. They've known each other 30 years. Get over it.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to have that or that relationship with those people because they've been building that for 20 or 30 years.
They didn't just
They
group
didn't
up
do
and
it to make you angry.
exactly.
Like-
yeah.
And I think there's a lot of, it's weird. Like, another thing that's weird and unique to the mini truck thing, again, we should have made a list and I could just dissect every episode of something.
Yeah,
I
and
wanted
it's
to comment on.
really interesting from your perspective.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
You have like this fresh. I mean, this has been our lives for 30 years, but you have this like fresh like outlook to it. You're like, you can see it for really what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's because I've heard you say this before, and coming from my industry, like what I get paid to do, and like, I don't know, I get paid to do a lot of stuff that's weird, but the main thing is everybody thinks it's unique to their industry or their clique or their scene, and it's not.
Yeah.
Like it is so not. Like the gatekeepers, the old guys, that's all of us. We could all change. If we all changed our attitudes and mentality, it would change.
I've always
some
maintained,
people choose not to.
Yeah.
I've always maintained you can call it a truck club, a church group, a knitting
the same
circle. Same thing. You're going to have
Same
cliques.
thing.
You're going to have hierarchies. You're going to have guys who know how to do it really well and the guys who don't know how to do it really well. Like
The
it's
church
the
thing
same
is
thing.
great because you'll have like people that are in their 70s that won't sit with each other. And you just
Exactly.
assume that they would because they're old.
Yeah.
So they should just get along.
They're like, no, I don't fuck with them.
Or because they go to the same church. Or,
Yeah.
no.
But that also ties into like what really is irritating is when people say, like, especially about the mini truck scene, like, oh, I don't like the mini truck scene because it's just too high school drama. But that's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't matter any kind of social network.
You think the hot rod world's not that
Oh,
way?
the hot rod
holy
world
cow.
or boats
You can
or-
only build this car one time for a chance to win this award.
Yeah.
That's not high school? No, you got to spend another $300,000 next year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's weird.
It's everything's drama.
And I think the built not bought thing is the biggest drama we have. I get that a lot in my shoes. I get that a lot in my shoes with the like, oh yeah, he built his truck so he thinks he's. I'm like, I never said that. I just built my truck because it's fun.
Oh, so you're getting a little bit of like,
Oh, people think. Oh, they think that you think you're so cool because you built your own truck.
I get that because I have a YouTube now. I get that because I get that because I'm on this podcast.
oh yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
It's not. I want to tell people like it's not exclusive to the mini truck scene.
Yeah.
There's dudes drag racing that think that chick doesn't deserve a shot because he beat her 3 times last year.
Yeah.
Like they're like it's not exclusive to this scene. It's just human nature. Like
Yeah,
we
that's
all,
exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well,
we all
there's
carry
only
this
so
little thing that we think we
Yeah.
deserve it better than someone
But have you ever
else.
noticed that it's
You
the
know?
people who say those things are the most miserable people?
Yeah.
It's and like you said, to go back to that whole like motivational speaker thing. It's like I've read different things that it's like a confirmation thing. Like if you say I'm going to start working, hey guys, just like, go on Facebook. Hey guys, letting you know I'm going to start going to the gym tomorrow so I can be healthy.
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
already
yeah.
subconsciously that like affirms something in your brain, and your brain goes, okay, cool, we accomplished that, good job, let's move on.
Instead of
actually doing it, you know. And that's the part where we're like, it's like you said, it's the person who posts those things all the time and doesn't do anything,
Doesn't act.
and you say like, yeah, just go out and do
You
it.
gotta have
Just
action,
go out and do
man.
it.
You gotta attack.
and you also got to take
do it.
accountability when you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm doing is when I see other people doing things, and then I go, okay, I already said it to you. I don't know how many times. Can't wait till the Tacoma's done. I'm gonna cruise.
Yeah, baby.
If
Attack
I
you and
don't,
everything.
if I don't do that, if the Tacoma's done and Ben's like, yo man, pavilions tonight, and I go, I'm just sitting on my lazy boy,
Yeah.
watching TV. I can't talk about it and then also do that. You know what I'm saying? So that I can't just get on social media and tell everyone to go out and do things.
Right.
If I'm not going out and doing those things, and that's just anything. Like you have to just do it.
It's so fascinating to me, and I don't know if it's maybe I'm like a little oblivious to the world, but it's interesting how you're saying that they're like you're experiencing all of these things, like all these people coming at you one way or another way. Like I
Which
would not
also
imagine. Like,
confirms that it is still the same way that it used to
yeah,
be. when I left
exactly.
it
Yeah.
25 years
It's just
ago.
that's really fascinating to me because I never maybe like I said maybe I'm oblivious.
Well,
to
because
the fact.
people always talk crap about the bought not built. Like
Yeah.
so, there's those people.
And isn't that a weird thing that like
Yes.
that's exclusive to the mini truck scene? Me and my friends talk about this all the time, and I try to correct people on this. That is one thing that's different. Nobody that goes and wins the Riddler Award, right, is like, yeah, but he didn't build it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
that
true.
is exclusive to the mini truck
It is
scene
true,
because
yeah.
we were this was just like the Honda kids, just like the tuner kids, whatever you want to call, like the drift or the stance kids right now, whatever, takeover, whatever scene you want to compare it to. The mini truck scene is unique in the fact that we think we have this right to ownership of so-and-so's ride, like you guys have discussed, because they built it. That's always Brian's truck, even when Brian sells it.
Yeah.
That is exclusive to the mini truck world. In the hot rod world, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares who used to own that car. Nobody cares who built it. Nobody cares.
The car carries the prestige almost type thing. Yeah.
But in the mini truck world, for some reason, we get hung up on this. Well, he didn't build it.
Yeah.
Who cares? Somebody
think-
built it.
I think
Somebody's
that-
dollars paid for it.
yeah.
I think that really stems from the fact that the whole mini truck scene is such a DIY thing.
Yes.
Because dudes building trucks in the very beginning had zero part support.
But I'm sure those hot rod and drag racer guys felt the same way. Vic Edelbrock didn't feel the same way before he had his name stamped on 1,000 parts.
But that's true. But we're also talking
but they've
about
cycled through years of it.
Yeah, that's you're talking about
just
over
haven't got
the
there
last
yet, right?
100 years.
Yeah, we haven't got
we
there
just
yet.
haven't
Or
got
maybe
there.
not 100, but over the last 70, 80 years. So yeah, I'm pretty sure in the beginning of the hot rod scene, it was very similar.
I mean,
you
you're
know?
seeing a little maturity in that space now because the truck's like far from losing, right? It had the truck followed it, you know what I mean? Then it was bought by Tom, but it was still far from losing, and people still appreciate.
And the Stranger,
the Stranger
is its own
the
truck.
same thing, you know what I mean? Like they're like curating these things.
But I
Maybe
also
we're
understand what
finally
you're
starting to
saying.
get there.
But I also understand what you're saying. There's just like they almost seem like the exception to the rule because they are so famous.
Yeah, but if it's-
because they are what they are.
Yeah.
But like if I sold my 4Runner, that would be the same
Frank's
thing.
truck.
It's Frank's old 4Runner,
Yeah.
or it's Brian's old
We
Tacoma.
see it all the time.
Yeah.
Like all the time. Now that I'm back into it, I see it all the time. There's whole pages that exist just for these trucks.
Yeah.
And then there's, the comments. You got to love it if you have the page. Because there's just all these comments of people bickering and arguing back and forth. But so-and-so
Bickering,
had it, and then he sold it here, and then it was in San Dimas, and then it was... And you're just like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Like, is anybody building it, driving it, and enjoying it now? Because
That's what I've always maintained about that. And another, to talk about that thing specifically, is when people get a truck like that, like let's say, I don't think it would be like Far From Losing or The Stranger, but like a really well-known truck. So someone spends money to buy it, and then the first thing they say is like, I think I'm going to repaint it because I want it to be mine. It's like, well, then why don't you just build a truck from scratch?
Yeah,
like
that's weird.
If from my perspective, if I was to acquire one of these well-known trucks, I would do the same thing these other guys are doing. I would be like, here's a truck. I take it places. This is who built it. I was very cautious of that when I was having my truck built. I was not cautious necessarily, but very aware of that. Like as it was being built, I didn't want it to be like Frank built that truck. I wanted each person who had a hand in it to have their own like spotlight. Like when it was being built over at Sadistic Ironworks, I told him specifically, I said, I want you to put your logo as wherever you want on this thing because I'm not going to have it forever. And then when it gets a couple hands down the line and it ends up in some field and some dude finds it and he's like, yeah, I think I remember this truck. And this truck I think it was built by Sadistic. They can pull the wheel off and right there on the upper control arm, it says Sadistic. And they go, oh shit, this is that
cool.
truck. Yeah. So I look at it from like, my perspective is like I'm just temporary. The truck is going to probably last longer than I am, so I want it to live on and people to find it. And I always talk about this story that we found this old George Barris built. It wasn't very famous or anything, but it was a Barris built car, and on the dash it had a Barris plaque. I don't know who owned the car. I don't know who had the car commissions to be built. I didn't know any of that. All I know was super cool to find this car with that plaque on it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the approach I take at it. But I see what you're saying. Like some people get wrapped up in like the person, like the personality,
People get wrapped up in a lot of things that don't affect their
That don't
everyday
even
life.
affect it, yeah.
I do. I'm not going to say that I
No,
don't.
I find myself doing that.
I have-
Reel me back in.
yeah. I have my opinions
We all
about
have that, like, one or two friends we call and, like, we've aired out to.
100%.
Right.
100%.
And, like,
Yeah.
only they hear that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like,
We call that the post podcast.
Yeah.
The post
you gotta
podcast.
have that.
Wait till this camera turns off and then we're really getting the mud.
You gotta- that's human nature. Like, you gotta have that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But there's just in the mini truck thing. Like, to me now, that like I guess I'm in a club and I'm this and I'm that and I'm going to shows and I got stickers on my windshield, and it's just an interesting thing to me that the more things have changed, the more they are kind of still the same. There really is just kind of like that.
And I think it's not until you become comfortable with that, because I think for a long, maybe everybody goes through this, but I think there's a period where people go through, like, they try to be in denial about it. They're like, things are changing, things are different, there's not like it used to be people. But I think not until you become comfortable in the fact that, like, yeah, things are pretty much the same. Like, one thing that I had a struggle with was like that we're all kind of growing up together. Like there's not a lot of like, there's you who came into the scene and stuff, but we don't get a lot of new people coming in. So had to get to this point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to be with these guys for the here on out. So I might as well get comfortable with these guys and understand that I'm always going to be around these guys. And once I got comfortable with that, I kind of had like a different perspective.
Are you talking about those guys as far as?
Well, like just everybody in the scene.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not talking like any, like specifically bad about anybody. I'm just saying like,
I'll talk bad about people all day.
who you want to talk crap about?
Skip to 50.
We can make this a really.
Who bugs you, Ben? Tell me.
He's like, well, I have a list for Frank.
It's kind of funny because like you are in this interesting position to where like, you have so
It's
many
weird
other
how
things
people-
you could like balance. You'd be like, you know what? I don't like this guy, this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and then you just.
It's weird. I tell you, that's the biggest thing to me that me and my close circle talk about. Like I have a couple of friends that I'll talk openly with, and it's weird who people think I'm tight with, and it's weird who other people will just walk up and start running their mouth.
Oh, really?
It's crazy. Like, because I can be bad with TMI. I'm an excitable person, right? Like, but some people will just, and then I bought this, and that so and so did this to me, and you're like, how do you know I'm not best friends with that guy?
I've had that happen at the booth. At the booth,
it happens
people
a
will
lot.
walk up to the booth and just go and just start going, and I'm all like, I know that person, I like that person, not best friends with that person, but like you got to ease into those
Then
things.
it crosses over into that weird, like, they don't like them, so now you're not supposed to like them based off of what happened to them and what they did to them thing too. And I'm just
I'm
like,
not down for that.
whoa, it really is still the same way.
That only works with your tight homies.
It's weird.
That only works with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
one best friend. Like, oh, he screwed you over?
You're like,
Yeah.
screw that.
Screw that guy.
Yeah.
I got your back.
I-
But
you know, and we
you
have
also
to
know
remember
sometimes
that.
your friends are idiots too, and it's probably their fault.
That's it. And we have to remember that is what I was going to say, because sometimes I'll look at my partner and I'll just be like, yeah, bro, but like, you're kind of out of line.
Yeah.
That was his brother. I mean, that's what family's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Just kind of stick up for their family. I mean,
Yeah,
so-
we have to check ourselves and our friends and
sure.
each other all the time.
For
Like,
sure.
But I've found throughout this journey, if you just listen long enough, people will tell you everything.
It's
All you gotta
almost
do is
me
The
listen.
too.
less you talk,
Yeah.
the more you will know.
The more you
I'm
find
that guy
out.
too. Well, like people, like especially in MySpace, people will hear me like reference Mean Girls movies or something, and they'll just be like, "I'm like, no, it's just like Mean Girls. It's just
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
it is.
Everybody here, close your eyes, raise your hands if you had something bad said." Like everybody has their hand up right now. I'm guaranteeing
Yeah.
you said something bad about somebody, or somebody said something bad about you.
It's interesting, man. But like we said, that's just human nature. And that's how societies exist.
It is. I mean, because we're living on the same planet.
Yes.
But we're experiencing different things every day. So those different things you experience make your opinions change. But then you meet, and you've experienced this whole different life path. So your opinions are different. Like it is just human nature. You know what I mean?
For sure. The mini trucking scene in general, like, and I don't have any experience with the East and Midwest yet. I hope to, but not yet. It's interesting to me. Like, it's so small. It really is small. Like,
Oh, it is.
you
Yeah.
go- If you think that you're something in the mini truck, just go to a hot rod meet. Nobody knows what your truck is. Nobody knows who you are, and it's cool because it's like a reality check. Like,
Yeah.
like you think this whole world of mini trucks is like, you were it. Go to a hot rod show. Go to Lone Star. I'm sure like you guys go, right?
Or just go to like
and you realize like the mini truck world is small.
Yeah, it's always been the smallest one, and that's what attracted me to it. You know, was like as I like got into it and figured that out, that was what I liked about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same way. Like that's why I liked fast 4-cylinder vehicles, because you go to a racetrack and a Camaro goes down the track and it's fast. You're like, I
supposed to
expected
be.
that.
Yeah.
A Toyota truck, like an 84, jams down just as fast. That's what what interests me. So that's what always drew me to the mini trucking world, was we had to fight up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like we had to prove ourselves all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
Do you think like the mini trucking community got dissed a little bit by not having any trucks at the Peterson thing right now?
What's at the
They got that
Peterson?
whole lowrider exhibition display that's going on. At the
Oh, you're
Auto
talking about Peterson Museum.
No,
yeah.
because the mini trucks really weren't part of that. Like there were mini
But
lowriders.
this is where I grew up different than
Yeah.
most, and I love hearing you guys talk, because this is like Victor's stuff, and this is like the California thing for me, right? Like I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood with very, different friends, okay? And mini trucks to me were like, my first Nissan had roadsters on it, like and a wall with 412s and a big shell and chrome fender trim, and we cruised with dudes that like hopped and I would think that at least one of those kind of trucks made it.
There's a
into,
very
like, one of those
political
things.
thing in the lowrider
Yeah,
world about
the
about
lowrider-
that. They don't. There was a thing where they like
I
the
had
low.
never even seen like what I call a white boy like truck that I own now.
Yeah.
Until I went to Rezo in '96.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
Oh no, yeah, those exist in two different spaces.
Yeah.
But what you're referring to is there was the Lowrider Super Show in Long Beach a couple years ago, and they open up registration, and all of these like I always talk about the new Mini guys. That's just because
the Rolling Hard, new Minis,
but that's just because I
I
always say new Minis because that's the only way I reference those trucks. So, but I'm not talking specifically about those people. But so they open up registration. A bunch of those type of trucks, new Minis trucks, like register, and they get so many registrations. Well, the people who put on the show, Lowrider, were like, "Wow, we need more room for actual what they consider actual lowriders."
Oh, wow.
So they were calling up or emailing these people saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, your registration is no good because we need room for this Impala or for this other thing." So, and it's interesting because as much as the mini trucks like Suzuki Samurais and Nissan 720s are part of that lowrider scene, they are rejected just the same as we were rejected from like the hot rod guys and stuff like that. And all exists in this like, and you were talking about what attracted you to the mini truck scene. That's what attracted me is it's this misfits. It's these outsiders. It's these guys who are not supposed to.
You were told no. You couldn't sit with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we go, okay. And then we build these trucks and do these
And we
things.
build these trucks better than any hot rod. And now you look at the hot rods. Hot rods have adopted what we started.
Correct.
Airbag suspension.
So much
properly
stuff comes from the mini truck
designed
world.
rear
TVs,
suspension.
big stereos.
Look at the hot rods that were built in the 70s, 80s were garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yep.
Garbage suspension.
Yeah,
They were using
shackles on the back of them.
They were using like
Bondo, just tons of Bondo.
tons of Bondo, like just not good suspension, like Mustang 2 type
Yeah.
suspension stuff that's not great. And here we are, we're like, okay, well, we need to get our trucks all the way on the ground. And we need to figure out
That
the
is an
best way to
interesting
do
point.
that. And we want to drive these trucks. So they need to drive down the road straight. They need to turn. They need to function for the most part.
all the stuff that nobody does anymore.
And we had to figure it out on our own. We couldn't go to Jegs or Super
Yeah.
Shops.
That's what I said earlier
know
in
what
the
I mean?
conversation. There was a lack of part support in,
Yeah.
in what we do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now you see parts like I'm buying a kit for the front of my
That's an
my
interesting
Tacoma.
thing right there, because like you can get stuff for your Tacoma. I can't get stuff for one of the most
Not
manufactured
yet.
trucks.
Not yet.
on the
Almost.
planet.
Not yet.
Well, actually, there
Not
was
yet.
there
Yeah.
was a point like Hell's Gate is working on that.
Yep.
But also Bobby built a whole front end kit for that body
Can
style.
Do had arms for that truck. And a few like Beltec made spindles for those year trucks, but Beltec didn't make spindles for the Tacomas because they used lowering
Correct.
springs. So yeah, but that's the whole thing. Like you had to figure out how to do it yourself because you couldn't just go on Amazon and buy.
I remember going to Switch, right? Proud sponsor of your guys' show.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, thank you, Switch
I actually did buy all my stuff through Switch because I
That's
started
great.
going through these shows.
Yeah.
Right? I started going through these shows, and they were always there. They had a presence. So and they were close. Let's be honest. Right?
Yeah.
So I drive over there, and I bought first round all my air suspension. Second round, bought all my 4-link and all my stuff. Right. And I was shocked at what you couldn't get.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you guys don't have spindles? Man, you guys don't have a shock kit? You guys, nobody's making stuff for.
And even now,
Yeah.
as
even
much
now.
as far as we've come, there's still a
You
lot
can't
to
get it.
go.
It's a little different because if you put 20s on your truck versus 17s on your truck,
Yeah.
everything changes. So you can't just sell a shock kit and this
I
kit.
think that's a really good point.
For
Yeah.
17s, and then change to 20s, nothing works.
Right.
So you'd have to almost make two kits depending on the wheel size.
How do you
Where,
guys, I'm asking, I got so many questions.
Yeah.
No.
Ask away.
How do you guys handle that? Like when people reach out to you and ask those kinds of questions? Because
Oh,
for
yeah.
YouTube, I did not expect that.
Oh, the people asking you.
Oh, asking
Yeah.
you how to do
Like,
Oh
things.
yeah,
technical
because I'm
questions?
like, because again, this goes back to that. Like, I think people think I'm playing the character, but I really don't know. Like, this is the first. This is the first truck I've ever airbagged and built. I want everybody to clip like right here.
Well, even when I was just putting only,
I'll help you figure it out, but I don't know.
but even just putting show videos out with music on them, no techie anything, I still had tons of people like, hey,
That's the weirdest
I need a
question.
kit for this, and this.
Yeah.
And
Or
I'm
no, the
like-
weirdest question that I always not always get, but the weirdest questions that I get is like show video somewhere far off distance, like filming the stuff, and someone goes, "Hey, what kind of wheels were on that blue truck?" I'm all,
3215.
How would I
Whose
know?
red Camaro is that?
I don't know.
I will attempt if someone, because I don't get them. I don't get so many comments that I can't reply to.
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Same.
yeah.
I think we're all.
Yeah.
yeah. We're not. Yeah. So like, if someone was like, "Hey, do you know anything more about that vehicle at 215?" I will attempt to go and
And the funny part is usually they'll pick a truck. Like, I actually know that dude. I'm
Yeah.
all, funny enough, I actually know exactly what that is. To be fair to
That's
the people
Ben. Here's his
asking.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
like that side effect that has come out of having a YouTube channel, where I've got, like, just this morning I'm talking with Crawford from Virginia's Lowriders. I'm talking with Brandon from Lower Class Fab. Like
That you said Virginia Lowriders,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
Crawford
that dude's
Lee.
channel. He needs some more views too, because like his it's really cool.
And I told him, literally, I'll pull out my phone if I had it, and I would show you this message. I was like, 1, did you get the stickers I sent you? 2, dude, teach me how to be as detail oriented as you, because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's building a Mazda.
If you're into long form, I want to learn and see how to do something stuff, Crawford is the guy for that.
Yeah.
Brandon, Lower Class Fab, that dude's just like, he just builds everything, man. And he's got his family, and he's about to get married, and there's all kinds of... I've never met these people.
Yeah.
Which is the other weird thing about social media.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I feel closer to some people on social media that I've met than people I see on a
yeah.
weekly basis.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same. Yeah, and
it's wild.
that also, that dynamic also changes, not changes, but it's also similar to like when you're in a club. Like the other day, like when we were up at the lake hanging out with everybody, Angie and I realized we're like, dang, we have no local friends. Like I have a couple local friends, but but nothing that you can like call them and say, hey man, you want to hang out? But I will drive.
Yeah.
12 hours to another state to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
It's this weird dynamic, and that bleeds over into social media. You talk to people every single day. We talk to people on this podcast who interact with us, and we feel like we know them. They're like our friends.
Yeah.
We've got people.
really cool.
Jason Bacon.
Yeah, Jason Bacon.
Who always comments and shares and is like very like just in tune with all this stuff. We don't know him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
That's so right.
Yeah, we never talked to him
We don't
before,
even know
and
if he's a real person.
Yeah, he's probably not a real
He
person.
could just be a weird Russian bot.
And then also there's guys like Matt Stone who start off like interacting, and then we meet him in person and figure out like, oh, this dude is cool as hell, and then it's just crazy, and it kind of similar to like how this relationship with you kind of worked. It's like you showed up, you start creating all this content, and everybody's kind of interested, and then we see at a show and we like chop it up a little bit, and next show we chop it up a little bit more, learn about, and then that's what I was saying earlier, like when you drop little nuggets of your life.
You were really good at just like coming up, saying what's up real quick, and then scooting away.
Yeah.
My life pre all this crazy was I was in the event space for a long time, and I've always had side businesses where I'm the guy working the table selling my own wares.
Oh, okay.
But being from that event space, like, it's no big deal for me to walk out on stage and be like, everybody, big round of applause, give it up to your host Apple tonight, and by the way, here's George Foreman. And then just get out of the way because nobody's here to listen to me talk.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. Like
That was too specific. Did that actually happen?
Yeah. But it was the inventors. I think with Foreman it was
You pulled that
Remember,
way
you stay up too late at night and you're watching the caveman. Do you have an idea? And don't know. That was for that. He was like,
really?
He was chairman or walking out. He was like the figurehead of that inventors space or something. I don't know. It was wild. Apple always makes all your staff sign like all these NDAs, takes their cell phones, and then sequesters everybody like you're in a grand jury trial.
Really?
It's crazy.
Wow.
I've done a lot of cool stuff like that.
I know. Just before you walked in, you were saying something, and you're like, "Yeah, when I was in my metal band."
Yeah.
So
That was a long time ago.
Well, a lot of this was a long time. Some of it was a long time ago. But do you have footage of this metal band?
No,
Oh,
thank
dang
God. That's pre-internet.
what instrument did you play?
A bass.
You play
a big
oh.
mouth, so it's the only thing that you can just hit one string and sing a lot. I didn't want to be the singer, but they're just like, you talk a lot. It kind of works like that.
What was the name of the band?
It was the podcast host, too. It was the same thing. I never planned on a podcast thing happening. And then before you know it, I had 2 other ones. We were at 3 actually at one time that we were running. And then behind the scenes, I have a podcast network that I'm like handling all the stuff on because people would come to you with, how do I do this? And what's an RSS feed? And I want to start my own. And before you know it, I'd be like, if you just pay me this much money, I'll handle it. And then I would just hire interns. And then I would
we've kind of like dabbled in that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk off air about that because I got a truck to build.
No, I have someone right now ask me to set their Shopify account up. They're like, I just don't want to do it. Can you do it? I'm like, yeah, I can do it. Like, am I going to become the guy that sets up people's Shopify accounts now? But there's so many weird. There's in this space of like you said, the RSS feed. Like, a lot of people don't know that's how you do a podcast. So like,
it's so much easier now than it was 9 years ago.
That's what we were saying.
Those companies again. Everything creates commerce. So like podcasts had now demanded these things where there's like just a few years ago, there wasn't someone that was producing podcasts. It's like created these jobs. It's created employments. It's created careers.
This is the worst quote ever that I found to be so true. And it's that like, you know, what is that whole quote? I totally mess this up. But you always see like the never work a day in your life if you do what you
do
love.
yeah.
You know?
If you do what
but
you
it
love,
really is true because I'm
yeah.
in that situation right now, like where, you know, people buy some stickers. And then some other company decided to make T-shirts. I don't get any of that money. That's pretty crappy, by the way.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I'm just going to say that.
Body Drop Clothing made it.
I'm trying to push my own shirts, guys.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah.
No, I think that's really rad that somebody did that. It's kind of weird.
You're like, hey guys, you never.
Do I get any kickbacks?
Yeah,
Or
no, you're like
5%
hey,
off my next sticker order?
all those shirts
like,
you made in my truck.
nah.
They haven't got to my house yet. I'm just waiting for them so I can.
I was gonna wear one of them here, but apparently I have to buy my own. TMI. Sorry, Troy.
Come on, Troy, send them some shirts.
Send this man some shirts.
No, those guys are great too. I met them kind of the same way I met you.
They
guys
were
or
a
whatever.
very similar thing. Came in off the side of it.
I see that. I've heard that too.
They
were new.
They were kind of, and then they went, and they still are
I
just
think
going
it's-
hard. And you're like, and you it kind of throws this like wrinkle in things. Like, hey, who? I want to know more about this thing. How did this thing come about?
You know what I love about life right now? It seems like everybody I meet, and you recently, you're a young 40, right? Like
Yeah, I'm 41.
You just got there.
I just got here.
Man, love you,
guys,
man.
How old are you?
So I'll be 47 this month.
Oh, okay.
So we're about
You
the
guys
same
about
age,
the same
and
age, uh-huh.
and there's certain things that at 40, I still felt I was 30,
Yeah.
but then
Now
things
like time's
change.
ticking, right?
Things change real quick, and I remember telling you that, and I was like,
I'm
not saying I was
experiencing
right or wrong or that, not that space, but just saying like, you just being a few years older, you're like, man, it's crazy how things change so fast.
Things changed. Like last night, I get a ding on my phone. It's an address to come to this rad podcast. I got to look for my readers because I can't see it. Like it happens overnight, Frank. Enjoy it.
I know. Hey, it's already
One day
happening.
you get up, you throw your back out, you don't even know how.
That's already been a
Oh,
thing
wait,
for a
that's
long
actually
time.
happened to you.
There's certain things that people in their mid 40s go through that Frank's been going through his whole life.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I find really interesting, though, even outside of the mini truck space, but the body drop thing kind of let me into this, or even me let me in it. I love how people our age are kind of reinventing ourselves. I never, like, when you think back to your folks and what age they were when they had, like, I never looked at
I obsess about that so much.
It's weird to think, this is what my dad liked when he was 40. Like,
It's
and
weird.
I think back to like when his Datsun B210 fell on him and his buddy and it crushed his arm and I wasn't supposed to tell my mom. And I'm like, how old was he when that happened? And I ratted him out.
And he was younger than
I'm
you?
sorry, Dad. Yeah, he probably
He's
was.
young. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
honestly
I don't
obsess
feel
about that
like
all the
I'm
time.
40. Like, I don't think that, like, do I look like I'm 47? Do I feel like I'm 47?
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok that similar said that about the whole like, because like you guys are Gen X, I'm a little younger than that, but like this guy was describing how Gen X was the first generation to not really grow up, you know, and not in the sense to be immature, but just in the sense to not lose your identity of who you were,
Lose your imagination.
lose your imagination.
Like that's
type
a big thing that people talk about, because when you're a kid, you have this imagination, and you have this adventure, this thing, and then as you get older, it weans a little bit. Weans and wanes. That's I'm on this new word. Is it wanes? Was it
weans is like when a puppy weans off the milk, and so that weaning.
It weighs on you? Maybe it means it weighs.
No, I'm like it goes away.
Wanes is it means something similar but different. Same, different.
Senior moment here. So
That's all right.
yeah, so like that imagination goes away, that adventure goes away, and then that's what I was saying, like with you, how you're just going to all these things and all this stuff. It's like I'm just sitting in my chair,
and I think that's why maybe you're experiencing so much negativity.
I'm the TU version of Forrest Gump. That's what it is, bro. Like, if you would have talked to me 10 years ago, I was bike packing through Mexico, like on my way to Superior, because I'm just gonna go sleep under the stars. And that really happened. Like, I just put all my stuff on a bike, and I was like, I'm just gonna
like
go
a bicycle.
Like
like a bicycle.
Yeah, I've seen like videos you've posted of you mobbing around on your bike.
Yeah. Like,
That's the kind of stuff.
I did Canyon Parker Lake stuff. I've done the bottom of the Grand Canyon on a whim. We're like, what? We got passes? Let's go. And then you get the next morning and you hike all the way to the confluence where people raft. And then you have to hike back out and you're staring like mountain lions or what are those big like horned sheep? Yeah, that's they're like right there. I'm like, this is like Jurassic Park. This is crazy.
That's awesome, dude.
I It's Temu, man.
Yeah.
Like it's not a good Forrest Gump. It's just Forrest Gump-ish.
Wow.
I think so many people have that opportunity to ride that wave, but they just don't.
Oh, they don't.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying.
true. It's easier not to. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Is that it's easier not to do things than to do things. But then if you just do the thing, then you're like, I'm glad I did the thing.
You know, and my wife and I are in this situation like right now, and I won't get negative on this at all, like, right? But my wife and I, it's hard not to compare yourself to other people.
Oh, yeah.
In life, as a person,
Especially
as a
in
couple,
today's society.
Especially in today's society. That keeping up with the Joneses thing, it's hard to not like.
that's
look
a real-
across the
it's a
fence
real
and go,
thing,
Dang, are we
yeah.
doing things right?
Yeah.
Are we, you know, and on that note, like for me, it kind of is like, I don't know, is there a right time ever to do anything, or like don't be scared of nothing kind of thing? Like, I feel like motivational wise, when it comes to that, I just kind of don't care.
Yeah.
And I think it's like I haven't lost that imagination. Like I don't. We get so caught up in like again a quote like living this life that we're supposed to be told to live.
There's
that we end up not living at all.
There's a script, and if you follow the
true, man.
script, are you
And
really
I was
living?
headed that way. That's
Yeah,
what happened
yeah.
at 40.
Yeah.
I was just getting by, paying the bills and keeping the lights on and raising 2 kids and how are we going to make this mortgage and how are we? And now that I just don't care about that, it just seems like everything becomes an opportunity to make an extra $5.
Yeah.
You know,
That's-
and I
that's-
love that. I
yeah.
love that at our age that we have that. And I think about getting back to my parents, like we were talking about. Did my dad? Is that the drive? I feel like he was robbed almost at some point.
It's an important thing because this camera battery is about to die, so I'm gonna hold on one second.
But
I was gonna say something, and what were you talking about?
we were talking about you're talking about how like our life, like your life now compared to like your parents' life or something like that. And I had a thought about that. Like I get affected by that too, because like I've actually never had like a real job. I've only ever done what either I've worked for my family, so I guess that technically counts as a real job, but not really. But then I've also only ever done what I wanted to do. And sometimes subconsciously I was like feeling guilty about it. So I started to like develop problems in my head, because I was like, well, people who have regular jobs have problems. So I need to like, if this is a real job, then it's got to like make problems somehow. So I would like manufacture these things in my head. And then until I realized that like, I don't need to do that. I could just exist and do what I want to do and be happy. And that's sort of like the space you're in right now.
That timeline that you were going through, like you were saying, like we're always pressured into this structure. You know what I mean? It starts young, and then you do this thing. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have kids. You're supposed to work till you're 65, or they want you to work till you're 80 now, or whatever they want. And then you retire, and then you travel in an RV.
Yeah.
White picket fence type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about this new generation coming up is they're learning you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And what's happening is the older generation is getting upset
Salty.
with them.
Yes.
Salty.
Yes.
I have
Like,
so much to say about that.
It's
salty.
Because income wise is different now. You could literally go live in a van and travel all over the United States and make money.
And I know people that do.
You can make money just by filming yourself. You can make
That's right.
money online. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're not having to do the quote unquote rat race.
Correct.
And that's okay. And that's where this adjustment period is coming.
Yeah.
Once those younger people that are doing that and figuring that out now, like we figured it out and we're older, but it's more.
Can you imagine how dangerous we could have been if we'd only known this like 10 years ago?
Someone asked me that just recently. So actually, just
But I just
yesterday.
believed in myself more, Frank.
Or you just like, I guess that's the old thing. It's like if I only knew then what I know
again,
now.
a stupid
Yeah,
cliche.
yeah. But yeah, I like someone just asked me. They're like, "What would you do differently?" And I was like, I don't think I'd necessarily do anything differently. I would just do what I'm doing now, but earlier.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I would have joined.
Yes.
I would have joined the club I'm in now earlier.
Yeah.
I would have started making YouTube videos earlier. Like
I would have went harder earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I would have been less scared. I was I was a little scared
and
to
it
do things.
applies to everything: saving money, building your car, building your brand, building your business. Taking that extra step to a new venture, starting a landscaping company, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It applies to everything. If you
Yeah.
just start now,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Don't let the
And I think the other thing is, and you see this if you read books or you watch motivational stuff. I got real wrapped up in this during the pandemic stuff, but you kind of get over it. Like everything is a 3 to 6 month thing.
Yeah.
You get back to watching Korean street food. That's my jam. It's way cooler. They're just happy. They just make good pastries.
Yeah.
But you get wrapped up in this thing like where people are just like, oh, this life, this and this. I totally forgot what I was saying, but it just, I don't know, man. Like you gotta do you. You can't think like, God, I lost my train of thought. Like
no worries.
I don't know, man. I think that whole like, I'm going to get good at it or I'm going to figure this out. And then people do. And then what happened to your truck? Oh, well, it took 3 years. Or what happened to that? Well, I gave it 6 months. People quit so freaking early on themselves.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
In the time that I have built my truck, I cannot tell you the people I've met that have given up. And I don't get it. And I'm a jerk. Like, that's where the jerk in me comes out. I'm like, I don't know what you're complaining about. Like, it took me, I was static for a year. Save your money, buy your parts smartly, and then just attack.
That's a big...
I was going to ask you.
That's it. Just attack.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to ask you, because now that you say that, though, it's kind of threw my idea out the window. Because I was going to say that, like, we often talk about, because everybody asks us, you know, how do you build a truck? And we always say plan. And I was going to say, like, you're sort of the opposite of that. You were just like, cut, figure it out. But then it sounds like you did actually have a plan.
But he planned the way, like, the the smart way to do it if you're going to do it yourself, which is because people don't realize, like, it's cheap to body drop a truck, to physically to do that. It's not cheap is the air compressors, the airbags, the shocks, the nuts and bolts.
Still got to buy quality parts.
Nuts and bolts.
The hardware alone
is insane.
That
Wires.
Trip on a Friday night to Ace to get hardware. Bro, dude, by the time you add those receipts up.
You're sitting at the nut and bolt counter like, I could steal a lot of these bolts.
I've definitely thought that.
I was at the Ace over by Pandas.
I'm not going to say that I wrote 6.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that out
I'm
loud.
not going to say that these are not great.
But it may have happened due to me being tired. You know?
Yeah. It's if you slowly buy the parts, like if you know you're going to eventually bag a vehicle, buy compressors, because compressors work on everything.
On everything.
So,
well, this goes back to your guys and like having the raffles and like give away stereos, give away compressors, everybody can use that. You know, you have a build that's coming up. I did my build in that sense. If there's one piece of advice that I could give anybody, it is really just like that. Like, you got to have some kind of plan, and you got to plan to your budget, which I've heard you guys talk about very much.
Yeah.
And it's true. We all want that trophy winning, badass, you know, hot dog painted Jaime like truck, right?
But it goes back to your thing about keeping up with the Joneses. It's not necessarily just you and your wife looking over the fence and seeing what kind of their pool and
for me, there's so many people that have those trucks is what I was gonna say. I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's so many people I've met, and I won't name it. I won't throw anybody under the bus. I've told them to their face. They know who they are. They have rad trucks, and they're miserable. And I'm like,
that's true.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah,
like I'm
there.
Me and my daughter, 5 at the time, when we picked out the color of that truck. So did it. Sorry, that's how we got the color of the truck. I know a big secret. Like, she liked that. There was 7 cans, and we rattle canned it in my driveway.
People give you crap about the color too. People give you crap about a lot of things.
Well, there's a lot of trucks that color.
Oh,
like, why didn't you pick something else? I'm like, I don't know.
True.
Like, it was there. There were 7 cans of it. It looks rad. We picked it. We painted it. But my point is, I've had just as much fun with a rattle can truck as a guy that's got 20 grand paint job. I guarantee you I have.
Or more. Or more.
So don't let your budget stop you from building your dream truck.
There is a way to have a cool truck without it being super radical.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the Nissan. That's why I wanted to kind of like, I have these builds planned that are like, my Tacoma's a little more radical than like.
It's pretty radical. That cool.
It's like my thing that I need to accomplish that I never accomplished, that I just have to do it for me.
That's it.
The rest of the things that I'm going to do are Nissan stuff, lowering, maybe a bag job if it's, you know, on like a torsion bar truck that's easy on 16s or 17s or 18s, biggest size wheel. But like, now I'm losing my train of thought. But there is a way to do it on a budget and still have fun. And this is why I tell people, there's so many people I know with torn apart trucks in their garage still because they think that they were going to be able to do this. And it's like, bro, you could have just kept on. I could have kept, that truck was running and driving.
Just keep driving it.
Body dropped, running and driving. And I could have been driving it to this day. And I didn't, because I was like, I'm going to it's got a reverse forelink. I want a forward forelink. I'm going to do a forward forelink. Oh, now we're going to do this. Now we're going to do that.
And that was the point that I was going to make, because like I've seen so many people get stuck at this point as well, which you overcame. I think what happens a lot of time is like you said, I'm going to body drop my truck. And that was like your focus. You body drop the truck. But I think what happens to a lot of people, and I've seen it happen, is like, okay, I'm going to body drop the truck. Well, I'm gonna do a motor swap while I'm at it. Oh, I'm gonna put an independent rear
I'm
suspension.
gonna powder coat the frame.
Yeah, like and so things just start getting out of hand. I think you are successful because you're like, I'm gonna stick to, because like we said, a plan. You're like, I'm gonna stick to doing this thing.
How do you eat
body
an
drop
elephant?
it. Yeah, one piece at a time.
That's it, man. Like, so like I'm not gonna try and have a detailed wire tucked badass style Japanese engine bay right now.
Right.
We do that in phase 5.
Exactly.
Like, because I wanted to do all that too. We all do. But you have to figure that elephant eating part out. Like,
But also to kind of go back to that like whole motivational thing. It's that like I don't know what the right word is, but it's that like confirmation in your head. So, and I've seen this happen to a lot of people. I'm gonna body drop my truck, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's so cool." Then they start the body drop process, and then it's cool to say like, "Well, I'm gonna LS swap it," and everybody's like, "Yeah, that's awesome." And you see what I'm saying? And then, so they've said it. People have given them confirmation, and there's why finish it. I've already got exactly what I wanted. I got everybody confirming that it's cool. You know. So anyway, that's just
no, that's so true. But on the flip side of all of this, taking chances is cool too.
yeah.
Going extreme when you don't know.
Well, he took a chance. Like he's
no,
like,
but I'm saying like.
Oh yeah, and to be completely fair, because again, in the whole like, I swear I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've never taken any car apart to that level that I took my truck apart.
It was giving me anxiety. It was giving me anxiety.
I think it was giving
The first
I
time
stressed that dash so much, taking that dash apart, because I knew I was going to be having AC problems right now in July if I messed this up.
that when we body dropped the Tacoma, I had never done anything, and we
It's
took it
scary,
in my
man.
friend's garage, where I was renting a room at his house. We put it in his garage, put it on jack stands, ran 2x2s under it, took all the interior out. And that's what stressed me out the most, was because like once you take interior stuff out,
it's no longer like a.
you're gonna have a pile of parts laying there. And you're like,
yeah.
I don't know where any of those clips went or
Yes,
nothing.
sir.
So
And they're all broken and dry rotted and cracked and snapping and frayed and loose, and nobody makes them anymore.
Yeah.
And
I have an OBS on the side of the house, and the dash is fine, but where the windshield where the bolts are to hold the dash in, it's cracked around every single bolt.
oh no.
And I go, I'm doing everything to this truck, and we're never taking this dash out. Never taking this dash out.
Yeah.
So
If you go back and watch my videos, you'll always see that there was like brake lines still in a certain way.
Yeah.
Or there was still
Yeah.
like a harness in a certain way, because I never removed my whole harness from my dash, because there's just certain things that are just not going to work out.
Once you
if
take
start
them out,
messing with
yeah. Wow.
So it wasn't until like the very end when I was going to do my brake swap that I'm like, all right, time to get rid of all the old brake lines and bend new ones.
Yeah. Did you ever like? I'm sure, but did you get to a point where you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work out
Every day.
every day?
You know, we have those 1 or 2 friends we vent to. Oh, like I was going to burn this truck down 3 times. Like, are you kidding me? In a day, at least.
Yeah.
Because this truck's never going to get back together. It's
do
never
you,
going to happen.
do you think if you weren't filming it that you would have quit?
Oh,
No, I don't think so. But I'm just different. Than
Okay,
most
not
people.
quit, Macy. Maybe,
but it was like holding you accountable. Like
Was
I have
the
to
videos
finish
holding
this.
you accountable more than just not like? Would it have
probably
taken
fair.
you like maybe longer? Like you
Yeah,
would,
that's probably fair. If I wouldn't have put out there, and I knew it too. I'm one of those kind of guys. Like getting back to that affirmation thing that you were talking about. If I wouldn't have put out the mini nats or bust thing, I probably wouldn't have went all in.
yeah,
But I know me. Like if I got a friend that says be at the gym at 6, like dude, now I got it, because I don't want to let you down.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I'll let me down.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly
I'll
what
let
we're
me
saying.
down every night about 9:30.
I do that. I do that with video with clients. They're like, take your time. I'm on. No, give me a date.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to know a date that this is due.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
the same
pay me
way.
up front and tell me.
Don't. Yeah, they're like,
do
you want me to
that.
write you a check
Because-
now? I'm all nope.
Because 3 weeks from now, I'm gonna be making up reasons in my head why you're the bad guy in this situation.
In that respect, I'm actually opposite. I don't like it when people like if it's like someone wants shirts and they need like a dozen shirts or whatever, and I go, okay, cool, yeah, don't worry about it, man, just get me at the end. That's actually bad for me because now they didn't pay me. I don't have any accountability to make these, but if they pay me in the beginning, I'm like, oh shit, like I have this money. I have their money, and I need to give them something for it. So it kind of works the opposite.
It's funny that it's different. Like
Yeah.
that.
My small business mindset, because I have a couple small businesses I run, like everything, and it's just what I'm just 50-50. Give me half now. Give me my materials.
that's how I usually
I get my materials, get you going. When the job's done, you pay me. You're happy, you pay me. Okay.
Really,
You know?
really to touch on those, I find those interesting. So what are those? You build like coffin shelves.
Were you
That was the weird thing
were you
that
upset when Frank said he didn't like Halloween?
Not at all.
Oh,
Everybody, because see, here's another. I'm so glad you said that.
that's funny. I totally fucking forgot about that.
I'm so glad you said it. Like, I grew up in Western PA originally, right?
Oh, really?
Like, right down the street from the cemetery where they filmed Night of the Living Dead, and right down the street from Day of the Dead was filmed at our mall.
Really?
Like, Tom Savini's school is across the bridge that I'm not allowed to cross. It's very much like you're born a Steelers fan, and you're born, like, into horror, right? And I like classic horror movies. I like horror movies. I like horror movies a lot, right? This is how I got into death mode, right? But my house is not creepy. I don't have spiders and coffins everywhere. I do have masks in my living room, and I have I collect vintage Halloween masks and stuff.
Okay.
But that's more of like, I collect a lot of things. I'm a hoarder. But it's not like Halloween all the time. I don't look like one of those Insta girls that's all,
I just
buy my apple cinnamon.
We haven't found your other YouTube channel yet.
No, I don't think I'd ever do another YouTube channel. It is so hard.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
a
makes
lot
you
of work.
doubt yourself so much. Every video you put out, you're just this sucks. Why am I putting this out?
Yeah.
Especially when you guys have been doing it so long. You go look at a Grindr TV that's got 20 million views or something, right? And the music is on point, and the photography is good. And I don't know what I'm doing, right? But people are like, great show coverage. I'm like, quit lying. I didn't even watch it past 3 minutes.
Yep.
I don't even, I can see my average watch duration. You didn't like this video. I didn't even like this video.
That's hilarious. That happens to me all the time.
It's the funniest thing. So, no, there's no hidden YouTube channel. There's other podcast stuff. The small business coffin thing, to answer your question, it was just another thing where I had an opportunity for yet another cliche where somebody said, can you make that? And I was like, yeah, I can make that. I have no idea if I can make that or not. And then that first year, I made 26 6-foot LED lit coffins.
Oh, wow.
From about a week before Halloween all the way into December. Out of the same garage I built my truck in.
Oh, that's awesome.
So people don't realize, that truck has to get out of here because I have to get back to work.
Yeah. It is funny looking at that, watching it, and I go, oh, he's
It's
doing
a
that.
makerspace.
It's a little girl.
It used to be a carport. I closed that.
I called it
exactly
I
what
said,
you
I
said.
said. He goes, "Where's he coming from?" I said, "Scottsdale, like South Scottsdale,
My house was built
kind
in
of."
1953.
And I go,
Yeah.
I was like, where they don't have garages. And he goes,
Yeah.
"You have a garage?" And I go, "No, that was a carport."
It was a carport. I closed it in myself. My friend and I found that garage door off of OfferUp or something for $200. I drove 30 miles to get it and back, strapped to the top of my truck. I brought the bed home that I have the first time on the back of my truck, which is on my YouTube.
I've seen so many posts and stories.
I deliver
of
coffins
you.
with my truck.
Yeah,
right now I'll pull up in that green truck and people will be like, "This kind of fits."
Yeah,
somehow
this tracks.
Somehow this tracks. Right? But before that, I was doing event stuff. I would do like I mentioned Apple earlier, and Apple would do a retro 80s game night. Or they would rent out GoDaddy. I did the GoDaddy Christmas party every year, and the company that I worked for, they would want a theme night, and they would put an ice rink in, but they would basically have guys like me. I was the lead project manager, and we would figure out how to take Space Invaders and make it life size.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
And
So a
people
lot of
would wear-
so a lot of
yeah, so I-
production
prop
type
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
prop
where we'd
stuff.
have to take old school laser tag kits and retrofit them to work with modern day systems and
That's really cool,
things,
man.
and build all these props that they could run through very haunted house style and just kind of very interactive. So I think that's what's kept my imagination or my I've always had these jobs where I don't know if I know how to fill out an application right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always just got into the next thing.
Yeah,
I met
made it
somebody and
work.
it led to the next thing.
You've always just made it work.
Yeah,
because
you just make it work.
there's no step by step to make a Space Invaders themed party.
And
You
people
just
say
have
the
to figure
same
it
thing even with the coffins thing, getting back to that. They're like, well, how can you make... And I look at coffins like my brown napkin. I love what I make. It's creative, but it's a black coffin at the end of the day. And you've probably experienced this at your booth to some degree where people are just... They suck kind of sometimes. We're like, well, I could make that for cheaper. Well, you go and you get the experience that I have. Go buy the table saw, buy the glue, buy the nails, buy the staple gun, buy the blah, and then see if you can do that for $20.
Right. Yeah.
This is $20. You can take it home right now.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing being your own boss, entrepreneur, build
yeah.
there. But people I think don't see that for what it is. We're here recording a podcast, which is awesome, by the way. Thank you guys. In the middle of an afternoon on a Tuesday, and you're going to get the Must Be Nice crowd. But But they don't see what happens at night tonight when I have to get an article up for the website. I've got to finish somebody else's podcast. I've still got to go edit my video that has to launch on Thursday for the mini truck to get 300 views. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm not ungrateful. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
It's just we put these pressures all.
Right.
The hardest you will ever work, cliche again, right, is being your own boss.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. The hats that you have to wear, the amount of hats, like paying your taxes.
Yeah.
Jeez, forget it. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's way easier to punch a clock, and when you leave at 5 o'clock, it's somebody else's problem.
And that's like,
it's way easier. I don't know why we do this to ourselves.
Well, and it's kind of like we actually been talking about this like kind of a lot over the past few weeks. Is like I am like stressed out with my life, and you're like, why are you stressed out about? There's some guy who works every day and stuff, but not to talk down to that dude, but yeah, it is a little different. It is a little different to go through the motions and. So.
Bro, I could never go back to a real job.
So
never had one.
I say that I only say that because I know, like, okay, being the club president, I have seen people make excuses or like whatever. They can't go to a show. They're kids. They're this. Then you go to a show and then there's guys there. They have kids. They're doing all this and they're that. You know what I mean? So like that's where that kind of comes from because like
it's all priorities.
I don't want to sit here and. Because I don't experience the Must Be Nice crowd. I don't experience that.
Neither do I really.
I never.
It carries over from my other line of work.
Maybe it's a little because I haven't been in any other line of work. Maybe except as far as like self-employed than this.
It's an interesting space. I think certain industries, and I think the car world in general, mini trucks aside, experienced it early on. Like you think about the TV shows where these guys got super famous really quick. Yeah. Right? And like Pimp My Rides, West Coast Customs guy, like all these people that were big overnight. Everybody just, that must by not, and in my space that exists. They think like, you just sit around and make content all day and it must be nice. Yeah. But they don't realize like what it takes to put this show out right here and be consistent. You guys, by the way, congratulations on that. Thanks. Consistency is the number one thing I tell people. If you're going to do something, you got to be consistent. That's the number one thing.
Be consistent.
And you guys are killing it.
And do the best you can with the tools you have. Right. It doesn't, we always say that in the video world, like, it doesn't matter if you have a phone. It doesn't matter if you have a GoPro. It doesn't matter what you have. Just do the best you can. I think that stops a lot of people getting back to the truck stuff since this is a truck podcast. But like now, like TIG welders are like the thing, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody TIG welds, right? And you have so many people that are just like, I don't have a TIG welder, or I don't know how to. So how could I do this? Yeah, and it's like, what did you use to build your mini trucks with?
But it's that
an angle grinder and a couple of Coronas. Like, it's no different.
It's that excuse thing. They're like, I would love to do what Ben does, but I don't have this.
I've had people say that to me. Like and I'm just like, well, you can get in the truck and ride with me. You can drive if you want. I'm tired. Yeah.
Or they see other shops with the fancy tools, so they don't think they can do it.
Right. Yeah, and it's so
when you can.
We all want it too, but it's not going to make you any better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I've come to the conclusion.
I bought a plasma cutter. I used it twice during my whole build.
Yeah. But you have it now forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just not my comfortable go-to tool because I didn't grow up with it.
But you think you needed it.
But I thought I needed it. I thought it would make the job easier, and it turns out.
Yeah, that's why people buy $3,000 cameras when they don't need to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You don't.
I did. I fell into that trap. The YouTube thing happened, and I'm like, man, look at this GoPro. Looks like junk, and blah blah blah. And I went and I upgraded my old Sony that I had to a new Sony, and
that's a little bit different though, because you started with that GoPro and you said that's good, but it can be better.
Yes.
A lot of people will say
they'll jump in.
Well, I don't, or they'll say like, well, I don't have an A7 Sony. Like, then I'm not gonna even start.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
Fair.
Yeah. It doesn't matter like you can.
I did the same thing. I love listening to you talk about the subscriptions, like Artlist and all. I did the same thing. Because I'm like, well, maybe I'm not getting the views because my SEO sucks, and that's my world. So in my experience, which is maybe it's the music, maybe it's
I don't know what it is. I only changed the music for me because when I was using Artlist and I was using Epidemic and all these other ones, I was getting mad while I was editing because I'm very big on like the music being emotional to the picture.
Yeah.
Right. So like I want you when you're watching that, like you feel like.
But that is kind of life, like with people like you. I could tell you're wired like me, and you too, because you have that good musical taste too. You always go to these shows.
Yeah.
Like moments in our lives, memories in our lives are always tied to a song or a moment or something. So I could see when I rewatch your videos, I get that.
Yeah. When I'm editing the video, I'm like, the music has to go. And what I was finding myself was just getting upset because I couldn't find the right stuff. And I was using the right stuff, so YouTube would monetize my videos, and I could make a couple of pennies, right? So what I said, I finally said, well, you know what? I'm doing this for me now. I don't care about the YouTube money. I'll make the YouTube money hopefully when I start doing the build videos again, when I get into that. And it's not enough money to like make me mad. And make
it's not enough. The joke is totally on me because I was spending more on subscriptions than I was bringing in.
Now, the good thing now with like YouTube has a nice library of like little beats you can use to like transition into things.
Yeah, all the revenue share, all that, whatever.
Yeah, it's all that. So like when I make a show video, I want to be into the edit. I want to be happy when I'm editing it and feel it. That's when I was like, okay, well, screw it. I said, it doesn't matter. I don't care about the views and anything like that. I just want the video when it's done that I like it.
Yeah.
Not that, because there's so many videos I have, like, I hate that video. I hate that. But then I'll go back to like when my first Scraping the Coast video, I remember, and I love that video because of the music. You know, it's like.
That's where I got too, about like, when you find yourself skipping through your own content, getting to the parts you like, that took me a while to realize that, like, I need to start just doing that.
Well, you got to do what you like, and you don't. It's like you said, the keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah. We do it. We talk about it all the time. When you look at other people's YouTube channels, and don't compare yourself to them. Yeah. Get influenced by what they're doing. Use it as inspiration. Use it as homework. Use it. Take away little things and tidbits that they're doing. You're like, oh, I like that. Not you don't like. I got to be like that. No, I just like that. So I'm going to take that little tidbit and like maybe help with my videos and all that stuff. There is no like, don't compare yourself to anybody. Yeah. Especially numbers, because the YouTube metrics don't make any sense.
Yeah. But no one. No. I mean, there are. I'm not going to say there's no one who understands it but there are a select few who truly understand it. Us normal dudes do not understand it.
No. Here's all you need to know. Like, you need to pay to play. That's it.
Well, also, when you go to a show...
Sponsored content is like...
Yeah. Well, when you go to a show and people go, hey, man, love the videos. Yeah. When people come up to the booth and they see me, they go, hey, man, really love the videos. Keep up the great work. I go, that's more important to me than sitting there and looking at my view count. Yep. Yeah. Because those Tacoma videos I did, they weren't huge views. The couple of them did, but like 3,000 views, 4,000. And I'm like, oh man, I kind of want more. I kind of thought these were going to do more.
So much effort into it.
Yeah. But then I go to a show and I go,
and everyone's
coming up.
You're at a urinal.
Love the Tacoma. Love the Tacoma.
I know that voice.
Yeah. Love the Tacoma. And they're like, what's up with the Tacoma? What's going on? Any updates? And I'm like, okay, this is working.
Yes.
Stop looking at the views and just start taking in the real life.
Yep.
The real life.
Because that translates our ultimate, like, I can't speak for Brian, but my ultimate goal is, at the end of the day, I have to sell a t-shirt. In order to keep what I got going and keep, my income going, I need to sell a t-shirt. So anything I do beyond that is just to meet that end goal. And so that's where I also came to that same conclusion. It's not about how many views you get or how much revenue. It's someone who watches a video, thinks it's cool, goes to a show, goes like, oh, I know that dude. Oh, those are cool shirts. I'll take one.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. To me, that's the ultimate goal.
I always compare it to a band.
Yeah. It's a merch label, man. Gotta have a merch label.
Band makes good music.
Gotta make sales.
You want to feel like you're part of that.
Yeah. That's it.
I'm gonna buy a t-shirt. When I was in high school, I wore Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirts. I wore band t-shirts. I would go to Hot Topic and buy my band t-shirts or whatever because
bro, you gotta get them at the shows, man. I'm one of those guys.
when I was going to shows, they didn't have merch.
Yeah.
Those shows that I went to didn't have merch. They were just like literally like they weren't printing their own t-shirts.
I wish I would have held on to some of those shirts that you have, like from back in the day, because some of those shirts, man, that's a whole other game now.
Yeah.
Like I see those prices on shirts. I'm like, damn.
The band merch thing. The shows that I was going to, they didn't have band tables and merch tables like that. I don't know if that just came after, or I was going to the wrong shows or whatever.
No, I mean, it's like, well, you've been in bands and stuff, and I know people in bands like.
Oh, that was everything. That was the driving force because the promoter was going to stiff you.
Yeah.
So you had to get your t-shirt sales, and you had to tape trade. Like tape trades were everything back in the day.
Well, I don't know that much about music, but I do know that but that translates to everything.
You would have loved the tape trading part of life back then.
Oh, really?
If you were like my age. Yeah, because you're such a music junkie. Like, you would go to a show, you'd see the same 5 dudes you always see in black shirts, wearing obscure like shirts, and they had to have like Detroit or Cincinnati, so you knew that guy was really there. He wasn't a poser, right? Yeah. And then he would have a tape for you from bands that played in Detroit, or Milwaukee, or New York, the hardcore scene. And that was the only way you could get them, was in the back of magazines. You would flip and you would find these dudes or at shows.
No
you would
way.
trade a West Coast tape for an East Coast tape.
Oh, that's cool.
Dude, it was so cool. Because it forges and changes and molds the whole person you become. Because how else did you have access to this stuff back then?
Yeah, exactly.
You just did not.
Yeah.
You had to put in the work, man, to find the good stuff. I feel like people nowadays don't earn it. They want that instant gratification.
It is.
They're
Yeah,
just like,
definitely.
They see one chick wearing a shirt from Hot Topic, and then they just go and they learn everything about him in 9 minutes on the internet.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. But
I'm
it
gonna be
is-
the salty old dude.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I know, right? We were just talking about that.
You need to earn it.
But like, well, I mean, it's cool now because you do like you have so much access to information, but it's also very fascinating how you're right, like how things from both sides of the coast. Like one thing that, and it just reminded me of this, is like when you were a kid, how did, maybe you guys are a little older than I am, but how did, with no social media or no kind of connection, did kids from coast to coast come to the understanding that Marilyn Manson removed 2 of his ribs so he could do stuff, right? Like, it's amazing. Like, there was no
how did
no
that
communication.
spread?
How did that happen?
Yeah.
But it's like that. It's through these like little like
Telephone game,
like well like so like it's like these like little like underground subculture kind of like things like that. So. But I still think it's cool now that things are different. I do think
misinformation spread much slowly back then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
Now
true.
it's instant.
But no, I do think it's cool though that like now this is how I come across a lot of music. I hear a band or they'll come randomly up on my Instagram. Cool band. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool band. I'll follow them. Oh, let's check out each member. Oh yeah, this member is cool. So you just start doing that, and then like the next thing is like, oh, check out their Wikipedia page, or well, like what else do they? What kind of information can I gather about these people? You know?
Yeah, you can pull up on some people quick. You know, whether it's a girl in a movie or band or whatever, man. Like you can learn fast.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought right there.
Okay.
No, but I do the same thing.
I want to know more about your previous life in bands and like.
That was a long time ago.
Like,
here's how it's just, if we want to go all the way back to the beginning, it's real simple. Like, you come from a crummy neighborhood. There's 2 kinds of people: people that want to get the hell out, and people that are just content with that's how it's going to be. And when you think, like, I learned early on, like I probably wasn't going to live to see 21. It was just like fast. It was a fast life. My parents were awesome. They worked their asses off. We just, times were different in like the 80s and 90s. It was just different. There was a lot of gangs and a lot of stuff where I lived. And
this is from your Philadelphia days?
No, this is from here. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh.
Right? I'm not
sorry.
from that side, like where they do those cheesesteaks and weird stuff. That's crazy.
So you're like the eastern or the western part of
Western PA.
Pennsylvania.
It's like more football teams per like whatever. I don't know. But we came out here. We came out to Arizona, and just like everybody came out here for work, right? And there's no jobs. Everything's shutting down back there, right? And right away, like I'm the outcast because I just don't fit in with everybody. The first school I went to had trailers. So I lived in a trailer park, went to school in a trailer. Like, it was not a good place to be. Like, it was, and you have 2 kinds of people that come out of that, and everybody's got a horrible backstory, and everybody will, cross streams with you that their story's worse than yours, and they were abused and butterflies and all. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is those 2 kinds of people. 1 wanted to get the hell out, and 2, like I know family members that are still living like that, and I don't get it. I don't get how you couldn't want more for yourself in this life. And in this opportunities and everything that we have with this, the fact that I can just go to a truck show and then end up on a podcast with you guys, like, dude.
Yeah. It's
like,
pretty
come
crazy.
on, man. Quit being salty and do some rad stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So on that note, everybody I hang out with, horrible influences, like I said. But those of us that made it out 1 or 2 ways, right? Everybody grows up, everybody joins the military. And I was just going to keep playing music and just keep being an asshole. Like, I was like, this is good. I'm just going to keep doing this. Right? I didn't have anybody to sit me down and like show me structure and set me up. And it's not a slight on my parents at all. Like, my dad literally gave me that, like, you're gonna finish school or you're going to get a job. And I was like, shit, that's an option. Like, I'm already working at Body Shop. I'm making good money.
Yeah, so like,
don't say that to a guy like me.
Yeah.
And that was like the first step of like, this whatever. Remember they never used to call it entrepreneurship? It was just called like, that guy's unemployed.
Yeah.
That guy's unemployed.
Entrepreneur became a very trendy thing.
It really did. Now it's like everybody works for themselves. Everyone's an entrepreneur,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And I hate saying that. I see that like when on people's profiles.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like, oh man, it's
Yeah.
It's
The
like,
sa-
it's like
the
having
same-
tattoos now.
it's
Like
the
I wish
sa-
I didn't. You know?
It's the same guys that went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Yes. Yes, it's the same.
Yeah.
But the tattoo thing is a funny thing to me now because it's the same thing, man. Like where I'm just like, I have 2 tattoos in my shop that I got in the shop. And I'm not saying anything, but like, it's just different. Like, it's a weird thing that people think that they have to put on these masks and these things to be someone that they're not. When in reality, like for me, I just knew all I wanted to do in life was live as hard as I could, as fast as I could, and as good as I could.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm still trying to just do that.
That's a great philosophy.
Like, I'm still just trying to do that, man.
What year did you move to Arizona?
Oh God, probably, I don't know, 85 or something.
So did you see that video that Will shared in the group about the freeways? Did you watch that?
I watched some of it. Yeah.
Some of it. So that was interesting to me because the 10 didn't even completely go through until like the late 80s or early 90s, and like the freeway systems and the road systems weren't built out in Arizona.
I remember when
until,
Mesa used to say the next 8 exits.
Yeah.
Like power was it.
Yeah, but like the actual road, like the city and the roads were not ready. They weren't like they didn't grow out. It took a long time.
Even when I started driving, the 101 didn't exist. It was Pima all the way up.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Sucked.
Like there was no like the freeways.
horrible.
It's just now like not just now, but it's just
We all used to party at Rio Verde. That was like nothing, and now
Yeah.
it's all houses and rich people, and it's crazy.
yeah. Yeah. Up where they can't get
Santan was all, like,
up where they
crazy.
can't get the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those areas were all places where we all used to just tear it up back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah.
Like you would go to illegal drags out there after a mini truck meet. Like
That's what they used to do right here on
Yeah.
this road right here is the drag race.
yeah, it moved around, you know, but it's crazy, man. Like
So you've seen this place just go through all of its paces.
yeah, I'm ready to get out.
I love those pictures where they compare like looking over from Dunlap in the 1955 and then now. Like I love those types of comparison photos.
The Cruisin' Metro Center thing, you know, like where Severed used to have their event, like that was like 3 times around, you're getting pulled over. Like I remember
yeah.
all these days, Cruisin' Mill with the guy with the computer in the middle, and you're just like, psh, man, you get your plate, dude. They're that's it. You're in trouble.
That's crazy.
Like, and now we're like full circle. Like I think I got pulled over once.
Yeah.
Since I built this truck.
I used to
really?
get pulled over.
And I don't even have a license plate. I finally put my license plate on the truck.
I used to get pulled over all the time when I was younger in my
Yeah,
in my
all
mini
the
truck.
time, right?
Tickets, they would harass me and stuff. But I think that now
We're old, dude.
We're older than the cops.
We're old.
Yeah, sometimes.
We're like
I have experienced, hey, could you step back so they take pictures?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, in California.
Yeah.
And I've got people that are like messaging me like, bro, like they don't mess around out there. And I'm like, I'm here. Like they don't care.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
So I talked to somebody and they were like, I was like, oh yeah, you should come out, you know, check stuff. He's like, oh, I don't know, man. He's like, my truck has a tune. And I was like, okay.
you're not moving here.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
I
He's like,
just put
they
a
might
muffler
take
on my
it. I'm
truck.
like, they won't.
Yeah. They have more questions than anything, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it just changed, right? Like it's just totally changed.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's cool. It's cool that it's changed. It's cool that mini trucks are a little bit more acceptable now. You know?
Yes.
That's definitely true. Yeah, that's definitely true in the last like 10, 15 years. It's been a lot more
When I go to like tuner meets or even hot rod meets, no negativity.
Yeah.
Like at least not to my face or anything that I've heard. People seem like to have genuine questions and interest, and they're just like, oh, this is four-linked like the off-road truck, or this is four-linked like a drag
Yeah.
car, or everybody, like the terminology is universal.
It is. Well, that's what I was like before with the
Airbags are so common now.
That's the thing. We started with airbags and then they got it.
Yeah.
Like Hot Rods did it. So like when we were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old doing the mini truck stuff and kind of shunned by that thing. And as we grew up, now it's 20 something years later, those old guys that shunned us, they're not even around anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's now the guys that are hot rods are like, oh yeah, I had a mini truck when I was younger, but my dad had a Camaro, so now I got a Camaro. But I'm gonna probably get another mini truck later on because that's what I grew up with. So
exactly.
we're all the same. We're
Yeah.
almost on this equal playing field as far as like acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, like coming into a cruise night, there is no. Like you're kind of accepted now. Maybe not the tuner car guys because that is a little bit like different.
little different.
It's a little different. They're not. They're still
and I know we're sitting here, like, I go to SEMA quite a bit. I know you guys do. Like, it's just, we see it a little differently than the average person, but like the stuff that goes down at SEMA now, you'd have never seen 10 years ago. You know, now there's builds there that just anything goes. But even back in the day, like Barrett Jackson was high-end collector car auction, and now we're seeing C10s. Now we're seeing mini trucks, stock Toyota trucks.
Yeah, stock Toyotas.
That would have never happened even 10 years ago.
So well, it goes back to what you're saying that like our generation.
We're older. We want our cool stuff back, Frank.
Well, yeah. But it's
skateboards, BMX bikes,
yeah. Well, that's true too. But I was going to bring up another point about how, like, you've said this before. It's like the generation before us were building, like, 30s and 40s hot rods because that's what, their dads grew up building.
Yes, sir.
Or their dads had or whatever. And now our generation, had like OBS trucks or like square body Chevy trucks. So, that's sort of like the space that we're existing in right now.
When the kid, like, and then imagine your kids and then their kids, they'd be like, oh, what'd grandpa drive? Oh, he drove a 93. Okay, I'm gonna go find me a 93 Toyota.
Yeah.
I can't find it, man. They're like $150,000 now.
Yeah, that's getting nuts, man. I'm still having a heart attack over what I paid for a bed.
So that's I want to ask about that. So you posted a photo the other day.
Yeah.
And your bedside was messed up.
It's self-inflicted.
Oh.
I went to help a club member out, and then they were repaving his street, and they had like a bunch of temporary no parking signs up. And his trailer was still hooked to the truck, and I drug it all the way down the side of the trailer light that sticks out on the back. Yeah, and it just caved the whole.
Oh, so you ran into the trailer?
Yeah, it was totally self-inflicted.
Oh, jeez.
The trailer is fine for anybody wondering. Take me in, plus the reflector. I know those LED lights can be expensive at Auto Safety Warehouse, but it's crazy the amount of damage you can do to a little truck.
Well, they're a tin can. A lot of people don't think about that.
And once you cut all the structure out,
it becomes even less so.
Yeah, when you get into when you start thinking about accidents, like after you've body dropped a truck and you've taken every structure out of the front end of your truck, you're like, if you hit someone at speed, that motor will be right next to you.
You look at the average car now, your Altima or an SUV like a Hyundai Tiburon or not Tiburon, but Santa Fe or something, or like if that thing hits you in the door.
I think about that all the time when I drive my 4Runner.
Toast.
I'm like, dude, if a Tundra came and hit me,
you're toast.
Cooked.
So
there was just a picture on the Mazda group on Facebook a couple days ago where this dude got hit by a car, just a small car or something like that, and his truck, it hit the passenger side, and the passenger door was like almost to the driver's side.
Oh yeah,
just
that's
like
crazy.
They're just tin cans, man.
Yeah,
tin cans. So you had to go get another bed.
I did, and I had to cough up some big bucks for it.
Yeah, what's big bucks? Because the last time
they pull it for you, right? Wrecking yard, right?
Yeah,
They're like, we'll pull it for you. Come back in a half an hour if you want it today, because you saw I already have my trailer.
Yeah,
getting this thing before anyone else does.
Yeah,
right? And I get back. And the tailgate's on it, the lights are on it, like it's complete.
Oh, it's just a whole bed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's like, "Hold on, my guy still has to pull the lights in the tailgate." I'm like,
they will not. No, it's just the bed.
How much is it to like just leave it on and save your guy some work? Try to
no.
He's like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's $200 for the tailgate. It's $50 for the lights. If you want the harness, I mean, like he was charging me for the wiring harness for the tail light, which I get it. Like it's business. Everybody is.
Yeah.
But try finding a good Toyota bed out there, folks. Nowadays.
The last time I bought a bed, it was Toyota bed. It was $450.
Yeah.
Is it more or less?
I paid $5 for it.
Oh, okay. So
I feel
around
better
the same.
now.
Yeah,
that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah, I went down this place in San Bernardino and picked one up.
Yeah, I always try that place in Rancho. Like I always try California, Rancho Cordova. But trying to find stuff is just and beat people there. You know, that's the whole game. Especially not giving away the top secret Battler location of where you live, but
or just
you
find
gotta beat people to
just finding a Toyota that's in good condition they're not going to take out of the country or someone's not going to buy for a project, because I know where an 80 4088 Toyota is just right off Grand up here sitting in the field, and it's probably not worth very much money, but if you find like an 80 90 95 that's complete sitting in a field,
Yep, you better
and
get it.
And if it's like $1,000, like I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
And then hopefully.
And that's what I tell everybody about old wheels. You know, like when it comes
That's
to old
where I
wheels.
wanted to get into this conversation too, because you're quite the marketplace expert when it comes to wheels and
All
parts.
I wanted was one set of wheels for my truck when this all started. That's all I wanted.
It's addicting.
And then like everything, skateboard, like everything.
Do you yeah, like the skateboard and stuff too, but the wheel thing specifically, and how I got caught up buying a bunch of wheels, it's because like when you're young, you see those wheels like Banks. Like my favorite wheels are Alba Banks, and when I was young, those were like, dude, they're like $1,200
Yeah, you
for
can't
the
afford
set
them.
of wheels. Like
Yeah.
there's no 12, like anything over $1,000, you're like, what the hell? And now you're still stuck back then, and when someone goes like, yeah, man, they're
sir.
$500, you're like, fuck. $500. That's it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can see how like it snowballs out of control.
The problem starts like, let's use everybody's favorite Antera 109, Opus
Yeah.
109. Okay, so here's the problem. So you find a set, they're $400. Okay, 3 of the caps are okay. Two of them are peeling, right? Okay, they're curb rashed. So now you got to have Jaime fix them. You're a grand into just fixing them. You find 3 or 4 different caps that you need. They made 2 different kinds. Make sure you get the right ones. Okay, like so you get the right caps. Well, the chrome's peeling on those. They need redone. Before you know it, you're $3,000 into these.
Oh
wheels.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
You know,
Yeah.
and people are like, well, billets are expensive. Trust me, you have no idea what expensive is until you start messing with old
Yeah.
wheels.
Like re-chroming and
Yeah.
stuff.
I was gifted my Inkies.
And they're not plentiful. Like in the old days, like I used to work at a chrome shop for a brief moment. In the old days, you could throw a rock and hit a chrome shop.
Yeah.
PA, like they're not chrome shops like
Yeah.
there used to be.
Yeah.
So finding somebody to fix your wheels and chrome your, like, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, chroming is. I would not want to live next to a chrome shop.
That's
I
And
used to have to do the tanks.
yeah,
Like, to do the dip.
I worked at a powder coating place, so I worked with
yeah,
caustic
yeah.
potash.
You know.
I got it splashed on me. Like I had to go to the
shit.
hospital
Worse, man.
because of it, because I pressure washed. I worked at Smitty Built. They make the tube bumpers and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah,
But I worked at the
familiar with
powder
that.
coating place next to it, and I ran the chemical strip tank and sandblasting
Yeah.
thing. So I would have to get up on this catwalk with this huge basket bigger than this room
Yes,
with
sir.
a controller, dip it into caustic potash, hot,
just yeah.
let it
boil
sit in there. And then I would have to come in, raise it up, boom, 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 hold on to it. I'm in a full thing.
Yes, sir.
And then I'd bring it over and put it into a wash tank. And then I'd go get the washer and do this. And I went, there was
Nah,
a,
so it would come
there was
back,
a tube sticking up from a tube bumper. That, because we always had to put the tube bumpers in this way so the stuff didn't collect in the tubes. Well, someone put it in the wrong way.
Oh.
So when I took the pressure washer over that tube,
Oh,
all the chemical that was in there came up and went into me.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, so I had to like jump off the catwalk over the spill wall, pull the emergency flush all over me. Like
That's
So
crazy.
it's-
Next
so, like-
time that you're sitting there thinking Brian must be nice and he's recording this podcast, just know that he
You
paid
almost-
his dues to get
I
here.
paid my
Got
dues.
taken out, a la Joker style.
Yeah, but the chrome world is really dirty. Like that's a dirty job. And
It was
a dirty-
not fun. I mean, like, it was fun in the sense that you could tell people you worked at a chrome shop.
Yeah,
It was
'cause
fun that
it
you could
sounds
sneak your
cool.
parts
It sounds cool.
It
'cause
was
it-
fun that you had a Nissan that had tons of cool parts that are chromed on it that nobody else
Well,
had.
it sounds cool because the end product is nice and
Yes.
shiny and clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to work there and be the FNG that's just dipping all day,
Yeah.
it like, sucked, dude.
I would.
Yeah.
I could only imagine.
It's a dirty job, dude.
It sucked. And even the guys, my homie Angel, the big dude swinging bumpers, like you're always trying to work your way up to like the fry guy. Like you're trying to, like, that was the cool job. But you got to have guns to swing big like chrome Impala bumpers, and but you just see them and they're just covered. They're breathing in all this black dust
Oh,
and powder
shit.
residue and like there's
Not-
nothing
not
glorious
good.
about chrome
Not
shops,
good.
auto
Not
body
good.
shops. Some of those things are just like no.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I could go back and tell the young me, Frank.
Don't do that.
But yeah, like
do
the,
that.
the wheels that I got were gifted to me, and I sent them out to Jaime.
Yeah.
He repaired them, and then I got them back. He repaired them, stripped them, and then I had them powder coated. And luckily, mine had the caps on them because those center caps are hard to find.
Yeah.
And the center caps can be just as expensive as the wheels.
Dude, to
Yeah, if you can
anybody
find 'em.
young out there that understands 3D printing right now, get at me later and we'll start you up with your little business of repopping caps.
Yeah.
And I'm telling
Oh,
you,
wow.
it can be very lucrative.
Yeah, I didn't think about that because my
There's some
bank-
people doing it, but still getting them chromed, getting them finished correctly afterwards. But there's some people that are starting to scan some wheels and stuff,
that's
and some
interesting.
center caps.
Yeah.
Because on my banks, this is my dumb ass fault. I took it to an America's Tires, and now I've learned my lesson. I take all the caps off the car before I go in because
before you
I do
go.
not want those. Because the dude stripped one of the bolts, so he stripped it and then tightened it all the way up, and so now the cap's stuck on the car, and I'm like, well, I'm either gonna have to like, so I'm like thinking all these different scenarios of like breaking the bolt, and then like I was like, well, what about if the cap breaks? I started looking at caps.
Yeah, I found out
Drill the cap
very
out with a
quickly.
small drill bit.
So, well, yeah, but what I was saying, it just sent me on. It just the point.
Oh,
my
it
point
sent
is,
you on the journey
It sent
to-
me on the journey
yeah.
looking for extra caps,
Yeah.
and I quickly realized, oh, they're not.
They're not.
They're not
Yeah.
there. Like I went on eBay and I found one. It's scratched to shit. $129.
Yeah. Opus 109 Antero wheel caps right now. Like those are Grail caps. Everybody just buys them when you see them, and they're $150 to $250.
That's crazy.
And they're not even new old stock. They're just used and scratched.
Yeah.
I have a set of Assassins. You look at Assassin caps, and
Oh well, yeah,
you're
those
gonna
are like
spend
extra,
$200. Yeah.
extra like intricate.
Have you dealt with that company that will make custom caps? I saw it online.
No,
I'm
I'm just not at that point yet.
Yeah, Dean in our club bought some. He had some Yankees like
I
mine.
need to sell everything and just like, here's my one wheel, and just sell everything to pay to have one set done and just call it
that
a day.
nice
you
set.
know?
Yeah, there's.
How many sets do you have right now?
I don't know.
You're like, I don't even want to know.
And if my wife's watching, I don't
None.
have any
None.
storages. I have wheels in them. You're talking to the guy that rented a storage.
What's this
just for his
159? What's this $159 a month fee that's coming out of our bank every
Yeah,
month?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
nothing.
Nothing.
That's not the storage
Ignore
unit
that.
down
And
the
that's
street.
the worst thing about me. Like getting back to this truck and how this all happened. I don't know, man. Addictive personalities are bad, and I happen to have that. And that's where a lot of bad stuff and not living righteously in my life came in the past. Like,
We said like a hoarder.
you know.
It's
Yeah.
like a hoarder because
I'll
I'm.
get into things like I'll get into podcasts and bang, right? Like I'll get into like I can't just like get into comics like and all of a sudden I'm like 13,000 comics.
Yeah.
And like it gets and then but what happens just like cars, you push them aside for the next shiny thing, right? Like I don't really get rid of stuff or I'll roll it into the next hobby because that's the only way guys like us can afford to pay for things. But it's bad.
I've changed. I used to be like that. I've changed to now where I'm trying to like have my life way more simplified. But yeah, I did that. My funny story is fish tanks. One time I got into fish tank. I got into fish. Like I'm in my.
that's odd.
I'm in my like early 20s. I got my house like our house. If you sell because we
That's like always the measure. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? That's like always the measure for me that you made it.
really.
Me and my wife, like I always told her when we get our own place, let me get a fish tank. because it's like you find
that's what your parents
you're not
used to
moving
do.
around. Fish settled.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We
you
have
don't
our
have to
thing
move
now.
it. You don't have
Yeah,
to
But
move
that's
it.
back in
true.
our day, like I remember my mom had a fish tank, and like for me, like I was like, yeah, subconsciously, I was like,
I'm gonna
I
get me a
could've
Well, I
been
went through, so I've had my house forever, and yeah. So, but our house is interesting because our house kind of like grew and changed with us. Like if you went back in time and walked into me and Angie's house when we were in our mid-20s, there's fish tanks, like posters on the wall, like just shit everywhere, right? Just all this crazy shit. And but the fish tank thing, like I got a fish tank and then I just like bought another one and I bought another one. Same thing with the wheels.
That's
Like
how
I
the
was just
wheel
like
thing happened,
buying.
bro.
And it took me a long time to
And then
break
people know
out
you're
of
the
myself.
fish tank guy, so
Yeah.
they start hitting you up.
Dude.
They're like, hey, there's a fish tank guy. He
If
lives down
I-
the street. He'll buy it.
if I add up how many expensive fish I killed, it'd probably be like pretty shocking.
That was like a thing of.
You were an irresponsible fish tank
It
owner.
seems weird.
Do you know me? Like,
Yeah,
Imagine my mentality. I know this is bad, but imagine my mentality towards my truck right now and apply it to living fish. That's a lot of dead fish.
It's weird to hear it coming from you because I feel like it was older people of us, like that
My
had
dad-
the fish tanks or the birds, like
My
cockatiels
dad
and-
had a big 100
Yeah.
gallon, one the 100 gallon.
Yeah, I feel like that was
He
like
used
the
to-
generation above us.
Yeah,
not yours.
I don't know. I got obsessed with it. But my point is like you were saying,
You're edgy.
about like whatever. Basically, what I was saying is like you said, whatever you do, you just freaking go
Get
into
into
it.
You gotta get all in,
Like, and
man.
it was like that. It was like with me with fish tanks or like.
Oh, that's
it was
Jose and
with-
Erica. He
Yeah,
did the
very
same thing with
similar,
fish.
yeah.
Like this dude.
Oh, he went through a fish tank thing too. So
Oh,
yeah. So I'm not weird.
His entire house.
It looked
was
like a fish
It
store.
looked like SeaWorld.
That's crazy.
It was insane. I was
People
like,
that do
you
get into
got,
reptiles that do that.
yeah,
But
they're
never fish.
they're weird. Reptile stuff is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I never got into that.
Yeah.
If I go like, I don't know how.
But that now Jose,
I don't know how to- I don't know-
but
I don't know how to
Jose,
say
but now
this.
Jose and Erica they got into the whiskey thing,
Yeah, they're the same.
and
thing.
now their
Like,
house looks like a liquor store.
Yeah.
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 But the reptile thing, I remember my kid made a friend at school, and we're like, "Oh, can I go over to so and so's house to have a play date?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I go drop him off. I walk in the house. I see a giant tank with a snake in it. I'm all like a giant boa constrictor
Yeah.
thing. I'm all, we really have to go because like there's something about it, and that's why I'm being careful because there might be someone out there with snakes or whatever.
Reptile,
Well, you're weird.
Reptile people are a different breed.
They are a different
And
breed.
when it's in your living room and it's
My
a fucking
neighbor-
20-foot python.
Yeah,
I'm
my
like,
neighbor back in the day when I grew up, when I was really young, they had their whole house was snakes, and they had a snake that they would feed rabbits to.
Yeah. So
It
we had
was
one for a
huge.
brief moment, and when it got to the rabbit stage, that's when my wife drew the line. She was like, "No."
You're like, yeah.
There's like frozen things in the sink. Like, no.
You're like, maybe this is not. This
But
is
to be fair, a friend went to jail, and I just kept it, and then like
It just got
he's
bigger
like,
and bigger
"Hey,
and
could you
bigger.
just take care of this until I."
until I get out of jail.
Yeah,
he's doing
I
like-
didn't know it was gonna, and then
Grow.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really a rep. That was one and only. Like I did it for a homie.
That's funny. We've lost all of our audience, by the way. They're like, truck stuff.
Truck stuff. To be fair, that's why I watch you guys. Because I get to learn about other things. I'm not very cultured. I get to learn about baseball. I get into these zones where I'm just mini truck only mode,
Yeah.
and it's refreshing to be able to tap into something else. and hear
It's
other-
impossible to talk about mini trucks 24/7.
well, no
and
one
it's-
does at mini truck shows, right? We don't talk about mini truck stuff.
No.
That's true. Hey, that's a good point.
No, it is.
You go to
You
hang.
don't, right?
The mini trucks.
But I think
again,
people-
excuse the pun,
Yeah.
are the vehicle
Yeah.
for us to hang out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
No,
secondary to the people, man. It's not about the club.
what Ronnie
in
says that Ronnie from C10 Talk says.
Yeah, that
the,
guy.
The trucks are cool, but the people are cooler. It's the opposite.
Ronnie is super cool, though. He's like the
We're gonna
grand
talk to him tomorrow.
wizard.
so
I know. I saw you announce that, and I had to shoot him a message. So I was just like, bro, you're cool. Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting that guy once or twice too, and he's super rad.
Yeah, he's a great
You
dude.
know?
Really
I like
good
that
dude.
guy. He's super nice, man.
Yeah, so we're gonna podcast with him tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that what was I? Oh, the talking about trucks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It can be daunting a little bit, you know, like because that's all you do is talk about trucks, and then you just like I like that we don't just.
We could talk
trucks.
about some trucks right now before I run though, because my question for like you guys.
Oh yeah, we had.
Right?
Do we have questions too? We had like one.
No one sent questions to me. If
Only
so,
one-
it's
only one
we
person.
only one. We got
Club
only
members.
one.
Only one person.
Only one.
asked, and it's-
Everybody's like, "Why is that guy on?" That was the question.
I feel like I feel
Why the
bad.
hell are you having that guy on?
I feel bad because like I was like,
It would feel worse if we didn't ask any.
that's true. Okay, well I'm only gonna wait. Let's see. Did anybody? Oh no, 2 questions.
Oh snap! I have as many questions
is-
as I have viewers on YouTube.
I don't know why. Our buddy,
That's more than I have memberships. I have 0 memberships to everybody watching.
there's only 2, and one is Kenny, and this doesn't even make any sense. Sorry, Kenny. Slamberg Kenny. He says, "When are you giving away a body drop?" I don't know what that has to do with Ben.
Ben's gonna body drop at the
Oh,
giveaway.
Ben, that's what we're gonna do. Ben will come to your house and body drop your truck.
So you guys have seen this formula. You have seen this formula on YouTube, though, where that's the thing, though, right? Like, I always joke. And if you go to my YouTube, it's become like this funny thing for me. And a lot of people haven't really picked up on it, but a few have. And it's the, will it run?
Oh yeah.
It's I've started just like
Yeah.
having a blast with that to see if it has effects on analytic. So the next one is the giveaway because people keep asking about the Forerunner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna find some companies and some people to team up with. We're gonna build this thing and
give it
just
away.
Give it
Heck
away.
yeah, that's rad.
You know? So maybe Kenny,
yeah,
it's
maybe
gonna
you might get a
happen.
body
It's gonna
drop.
happen.
Might get
I
a
mean-
body drop Forerunner.
Yeah.
You can always just do the frame. You can put whatever you want on it.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that my goal with that Nissan when I did it was either to do a giveaway, but I feel like
There's so many rules around the YouTube stuff on that.
there is, but if you give it like a sticker, like if you have a sticker and
Yeah.
they buy a sticker, like there's less rules
Yeah.
because then they just automatically enter. But if they don't get anything, it's just gambling at that point.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't have enough merch to do a giveaway of that type. Where like I'll go on Cletus or I'll go on Diesel Brothers or
Well, I'll be honest. I was just gonna do it to get views. So,
yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
to be fair, a lot of us that's all we do this for.
Yeah, that's the
You
point,
know,
right?
The views thing, but yeah, I think eventually I want to do a mini truck and give it away. But again, I feel like I just don't have enough merch to do that.
It is a weird thing, and I know this is probably something that'll rub people the wrong way, but I'm good at saying things like that out loud. And it's for as small as our community is, it is very unsupportive when it comes to things like. And supporting other people is
true.
definitely one of those.
100%.
And-
That's true.
And
Elephant
I just-
in the room.
Yeah, I mean, like it kind of is, and I'm a very loud, outspoken kind of person, and I don't mind calling it what it is. Like, I don't understand what's wrong with going and supporting somebody else's channel or merch stand or this or that or what. Like, there's literally 7 of us. Can we hang out?
Yeah.
There's 7 of us here. Why do you have to park over there and park? Like, can we just hang out? Like,
Yeah.
you have a cool mini truck. I have a cool mini truck. And
Yep.
everybody else here would like to see. Ronnie's show is a great example of that. The
Yeah.
reunion is fantastic. And Ronnie says to me one time, man, I'd love to put all you mini trucks on one level. And I was like, yeah, I would love that too. But for some reason, Arizona can't get our crap together. We have shows like on the same day in the same state. And I know sometimes that happens. But even when it doesn't, there seems like there's politics or things that come into play where
Yeah,
like
that's
so and so doesn't want to just hang out. Or,
It is.
well,
It is the big.
it's too far. And I'm just like, there's always a reason. That I feel is more of an excuse.
That is the big difference between like the mini truck community and the C10 community. The C10 community is very
Supportive.
Yeah. They're very like they party together. Like there is no like cliques. There is cliques. Don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit different there. And I think that has to do with the modification side of things. So in the C10 world, you can just lower your truck and be accepted
You're in.
as the same person that body dropped their truck. In the mini truck world, we have always grew up to this thing where you have to be the most extreme to be the coolest.
Right.
There's like these levels to it. Like if you just static dropped your truck.
We're Boydsters now. You know that, right?
Yes.
We've become Boyd.
Yeah,
we're
100%.
the guys that used to make fun of people in the parking lot, and now we're the Boydster guys.
I call us the
It has to be bagged. It has to be bodied. It has to be on billets.
Yeah.
Like we've become those guys.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's weird to me.
Well, that's why I like going out to.
No one will do a 6 static build here like the kids are doing in California.
That's why I
You
like
know,
going to that
nobody will
show
do
in
a
LA.
1J yeah, me and you were at Showcase. Everybody gets. I've had some clubs that have gotten really upset at their shows when they've asked me about, hey man, you go to a lot of shows. What's your favorite one? Victor's Mini Truck Showcase.
Yeah.
Oh, and they get pissed.
And they've got, you can see like the eye starts twitching a little, like they're a cop about to write you a ticket. Like they just get that little. And I mean no disrespect by it. I just mean like you were at that show and you know what I experienced. And what I experienced was like tilt beds, static guys, a kid that was 18 getting an award for his best up and coming mini trucker.
That's cool.
Like
Yeah.
when people clapped in that room, people were clapping for the people that were winning those
Yeah.
awards.
Yeah.
And to everybody that says awards don't matter, I would invite you to come out to that show again this year and tell me they don't matter. Because I guarantee you some lives were changed that day.
Yeah.
Like it was cool. Like you wanted to be part of that crowd.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many people after that show were like, oh, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have known.
Yeah.
Hey man, I told you. Are you gonna act like I don't talk? Like, dude, I never shut up.
Yeah.
Like you just didn't want to come because you didn't think it was for you.
Right,
You
right.
didn't think it was bagged and bodied and trailer.
And it was out of their comfort zone.
It was
and
out of
everything.
it. Yeah. And instead, the people that showed up, we had a great. Yeah, we talked to some people that had I think it was like a Datsun. Point of the story was like everybody in their family learned how to drive stick in that truck.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, where else are you going to see that?
Yeah.
And like Jaime's truck and like maybe my truck that's
Yeah.
halfway in between. And then that, I forget his name, but you've talked about him with the wood hubcaps.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, there was just such a plethora of just.
Because
mini
those,
trucks.
yeah, those guys.
And not the term mini truck,
Yeah.
but like mini trucks.
yeah,
It
not
was
mini
cool.
truckers.
Yeah.
Mini trucks.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool. So to
Yeah,
me,
I'm so
I would.
bummed.
To me, I would love to see like more of that at shows like Ronnie's or shows that really celebrate the nostalgia factor. I think could really pull that
Yeah.
off.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah, Ronnie's show feels like a big party.
Yeah, it feels like a big party.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be a part of that for sure. I'm bummed I missed it last year because of that crunch, but it's always
Well, we
next
missed it
year.
this year because our show was the same weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm bummed I missed that LA show.
So, question for you guys.
Yeah.
More of the elephant in the room, but on that subject before you boot me off.
Oh no, there's no booting.
there's no booting.
We
We
got
can
all
t-
day.
Okay.
We're not doing anything.
Will the mini, and I mean mini trucker, like the mini trucker lifestyle, like will it die off? Because like we have a resurgence right now. You guys travel East Coast. You're very well traveled, right? Midwest, Texas, all this stuff. Like, will it die off? Is it only going to be like our kids keeping it going? Because it doesn't seem like we're great at welcoming. Like the fact that you've told me 2 or 3 times it's rare that I come into this scene. Like, is it because of a lot of the things we're talking or not talking about? Because we're not very welcoming to outsiders. We don't make people feel like
There's
you know?
there's a lot of different reasons, and one of them is the affordability of the mini truck, right? So like a lot of people got into mini trucks because they were cheap,
Makes sense.
right? And then to crank the torsions down, to get small wheels,
Yeah. And now shops don't even want to touch them.
To be unique was cheap. To be unique now is not cheap,
Yeah.
right? So if you want to be unique now, you go get an NBS Chevy because they're $5-6 grand
And plentiful.
and
Yeah.
plentiful and fast and loud, and you throw some mufflers on them and they're loud, and you fit in with your buddies down the street and you
That's
go do
fair.
things with
That's
each
a good
other.
point.
where was the last, like with mini truckers, like there's no, like there's like, how many cruise nights are there out here?
0.
How many people are, I mean, it seems like only the extreme lows guys and the sun and
trucks are down and being rebuilt right now.
and the sunset guys kind of just like do things quite a bit. But no,
By the way, Sunset Nights is coming back. I should say that.
oh yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah.
It's
So
going to start in August when it's nice and hot still.
don't worry, it'll be at night when it's cool.
Ish.
Yeah, but like that, I think that's the thing. I think everything's fine now. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how, because I feel like right now there's definitely like we're at its peak.
Oh, we're like prime time right now. That's good.
And it'll be interesting to see how long like it continues. Like I still and being in Arizona so long, there was parts of town you could drive to, and you knew you'd see 3 or 4 mini trucks that day. I would be happy. I'd see my route, the company I worked at, and I'd be like, oh man, I'm probably gonna see some mini trucks over here today. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, when
I don't ever see mini trucks out now. Like
Yeah,
ever.
that's changed for sure.
Yeah,
It's like seeing an old car now. You just don't see an old car.
Well, and because like in that, I think in that regard that like back then they were everybody's dailies. Like you were customizing your daily, and that was your only form of transportation. And now, like me, like my 4Runner, I
Yeah.
the
drive
fact
it
that we
3
have so
times
much
a year.
money into them now has almost become a detriment to us.
Well, and
driving
we
them.
have other forms of transportation, and it's like just like a hobby weekend thing. I don't think, to answer your question from my perspective, it's kind of contradictive. But one, I don't think the mini truck scene is ever going to die. It's always going to be around. Someone is always going to build a mini truck in some capacity. There's always going to be a show. There may be 1 a year, or there may be 12 a year, but there's always going to be something. But I also see it eventually fading away because, like you said, there's no new people coming in. And if they do, there's not a lot of them. So I think eventually this thing will just kind of fade away. Automotive customization in general is not going to go away because everybody has a need to customize something.
Yeah. Well,
So
it
that will always
doesn't
be
matter if it's gas or electric either, because there's a lot of pushback on the electric because that's the new thing. But there's a scene where these guys are modifying the shit out of these cars.
Yeah.
It's like almost like not human nature, or like it's just a basic thing where you want to just modify
Being
something.
unique
You wanna
is
change
being
it.
unique is human nature. So whatever you're handed, whether it's the Volkswagens, whether it's rat rods, whatever you grew up with, you take that and you
It's that
make
brand loyalty
and you
thing,
make
right?
well,
Happens early on.
We want to be unique as people, so we wear different things. We wear different hats. We get tattoos. We dress differently. We do these things to stand out because we want to be, whether we're trying to impress, a girl or a guy or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like we just do these things as humans. So I think customization will always be around.
Yeah.
Will the customization of mini trucks always be around?
That's
In
exactly
some
what I'm saying.
aspect, will mini trucking that like we know, like truck run mini trucking, I don't know because look at the vans, the van life. The vanners were mini truckers because they went and they got together, they camped and they partied. That was my introduction to mini trucking.
Yeah, that's the birth of mini trucking.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. They were the birth of mini trucking.
The vanners
were
the mini truck scene is born out of the van
Born
scene.
out of that. I think mini trucks as custom vehicles will always be around. But mini trucking as a lifestyle, that probably.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, in how many years are you talking? 10 years, 15 years, 50 years, 100 years? You never know. Take now, go back 100 years.
Yeah.
We don't do anything that they were doing 100 years ago.
Well,
So-
mini trucking itself is only like 40-ish years old.
Yeah.
It's not very old. It's not like hot rodding.
It's got a
You see like a lot of like young kids right now, and they'll be driving AMC Eagles, 3rd gen Camaros, and Corvette.
There's always
That's
going to
what
be
I
those
wonder
guys.
if,
Yeah.
like,
There's
like that's what I'm getting. Like maybe 20, 30 years
They're
down the road, where
always-
those kids think it's ironic to buy this mini truck that they found in a
Oh,
field.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
again because. It just I don't know. It makes me wonder, like, will that be the saving grace for the next go around?
Yeah.
I had two thoughts when I was younger that kind of like foretold.
Because we always feel like that moment is going to be forever.
Right. Oh
And it
yeah, yeah.
isn't.
Oh yeah. When you're young. Yeah, when you're young. I had a couple moments. One is I had a 91 standard cab Mazda at the time, and I'm driving it around. I've been same as you. I've been into cars my entire life, and I've also been fascinated by car culture my entire life, and I've done a lot of like researching and reading into it and learning and absorbing all this information. And one day I'm driving around in my Mazda and I realized, oh wait, this is my generation's 32 Ford.
Yeah.
Because when 32 Fords in the beginning were not what they are now, which are $1 million cars, they were cheap, they were plentiful,
Yes, sir.
and they were easy to get. And that's and in the early 2000s, me driving around that Mazda, I realized like, oh, this is my generation 32 Ford. And also what I realized is not only is that my generation's 32 Ford, but people will get to the point, and I thought about this way back then. People will get to the point where they're building traditional mini trucks. Oh,
That's
I'm
what
building.
waiting for.
It's already
Resto
happening.
mods.
It's already
Yeah,
happening.
yeah, yeah.
People
We're
are
seeing
building-
it in California a bit, right?
Yeah.
But
and that's like
Yeah.
the new minis guys. New minis guys, they never really stopped, but they're inspiring people. Like it's happening now. Antero wheels. Okay, like I'm gonna build this truck and I'm gonna put a Pioneer deck in it, but it
Era correct.
era correct.
Love it.
Because people do that with hot rods.
Yeah.
People built a whole scene out of building traditional
Look at
hot
the
rods.
big fight between traditional hot rod guys and rat rod guys.
That's
right.
my- it's
Look,
exactly
like
my
it's
point.
the same thing where you're gonna have like, and I want like I don't feel like we have that good representation in Arizona like they have like say in California or something in other states.
Well,
where you can
California
see
again
other
is
trucks.
still new
yeah.
comparatively.
And Arizona's always been 10 years behind. We're always like 10
Yeah,
years
yeah,
behind.
and
Always.
and right now Arizona's a great place to be if you're a truck guy.
yeah.
You know what I mean? California will always be a great place for trucks and for cars and for all that older cars and things like that. But like it's like, I don't know what I'm saying here. It's like people like those guys, the new minis guys and all that, that's where they grew up it was there. Like the people that grew up here it's still a young area.
That's true.
You know,
We're all transplants.
Yeah.
We don't have no roots here.
Yeah, and California's all transplants too. They're just from 70 years ago.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? They're Midwest people. That's all Midwest guys. My grandparents came from Sioux City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone, they're like, find me a California native from 100 years ago.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's just that thing we talked about earlier, that human migration, just
Yeah.
kind of like type thing. So yeah, I think the customization of mini trucks will always be around. I just don't know about mini trucking.
I hope they go back to crazy.
Yeah,
Well, it'll ebb and flow.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean,
it'll
like
come
crazy,
around
like,
again.
you know, like tilt hoods and suicide doors and crazy beds. and
Yeah, because
pie cut this and-
we kind of went into this era of OEM,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my truck
Yeah.
is
It's
very
it's the
OEM.
Fabs look. I don't know how else to say it.
Who
For
just
me, it's
mentioned
the
about?
Fabs.
Oh, you meant you?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
was you because you asked. Wait.
Because dudes will like elbow me and be like, "Oh, that truck's dope, huh?" I'm like, "It's basically just body dropped on
Yeah.
big wheels."
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
I'm not taking anything
Oh,
away
yeah,
from
no,
it.
no,
Because
no.
believe me, guys, I know what it takes to body drop a truck.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
But like he said,
And it's not done that well.
It's just
but
the
it is
swings.
weird how we went from so crazy and extreme, like you were saying, to just like, no.
We're
got
almost
AC,
trying. We're almost
my
trying.
handles
We're almost
work.
trying to. Trying to make it look factory as possible.
Yeah.
I've been
It's a weird
fa-
flex.
I've been a fan of that look my entire life because I feel that look represents it's not supposed to look like that. Like you take the stock thing and you put it on the ground,
Yeah.
and you're like, wait a minute, it's like broken, but it still functions.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crazy part where people were doing like what Bob Grant did with the Toyota Blazer, things like that type of crazy thing. Yeah, I think with mods they get too extreme.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So
Yeah.
my point, my thinking is in the early mid 2000s we were doing these crazy body mods. The first guy to like do suicide doors and like you were saying tilt hoods and like all this, putting different taillights and then it started to become almost a parody of itself where okay, everybody's put Cadillac taillights in it. Everybody's so what kind of weird? Then now you're getting like a Chevy Cruze taillight shoved
Or an
in the
Acura
truck.
or Acura Integra lights in your Tacoma.
Something like that. So we're in this mud and everybody's doing these things, and then a guy rolls up in a 100% stock body drop big wheel truck, and everybody's like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
And then now we start doing that. Everybody starts doing that, and I'm guaranteeing you, in a few years or whenever, someone's gonna come in fully shaved truck, and people are gonna go, "Whoa!"
Well, because
and
we-
here we are again.
The reason I ask is because of actually you like mentioning it on a podcast how like graphics are just back now.
Yeah.
You know?
exactly.
And it makes
Exactly.
me wonder if that's what's next.
100%
All
because-
the crazy body mods that come with
It
it.
goes back to like trying to be unique, right? So if you're sitting at LST, Chevy on billets, Chevy on billets, Chevy on billets, they're all stock body panels, body drop, big wheels. Eventually, the guy that comes up to that meet is going to go, well, all these look the same. I want to be unique. Hey, let's go shave my door handles.
Yeah.
Let's go shave my taillights. Let's go do something crazy. Let's chop the top of my truck because I want to roll in it. Because if you roll in a Chevy with billets, no one's looking. No one cares. You're just They look, but if you roll in with a chop top or you roll in with something crazy,
Yeah.
all those guys are going to go, oh man. And then they're going to go back and have to be crazier than you or more than you. And it just starts this entire thing. So everyone's truck looks really stupid. And then it goes back to the factory thing, right? It's just this.
And then, like you said about the graphics, it's going to be graphic truck. And then one dude is going to be like, no, we're going to do a super clean, single color paint job. And then he'll do like a super good job. And then that'll roll and everybody will go like, hold on. A single colored paint job can look that good, you know what I mean? So it's just cycle. It's a cycle. It just keeps on going around and around.
Well,
and
I hope
around.
it keeps going for us because I like going to truck shows.
Oh, we've sort of turned our whole career into that. So
Well, I don't know how to do anything else.
yeah. All I know is how to go to truck shows.
I can't. I'm too old to start over, and I don't have as much energy as you do to just like redirect.
The joke thing, kind of being honest that I do is like, you know, when after high school, I've been with my wife since high school, and after high school she went to college and I joined a truck club. Like that's just how it worked out. So I'm the same way, man. I only know how to be in a truck club.
That's cool. I envy guys like you. I've been fortunate in my life to meet some pretty cool people. And one of the things that I always hear is like when I sit across from somebody that says what you just said, like I knew that this is what I've stayed this course. It's so impressive to me because I've never known what the hell I wanted to do.
That's the other thing.
But I think
the
there's
first time I ever talked to Ryan Bader and he was like, I knew I was going to be a fighter. And I'm just like, when you hear a race car driver say all they were going to do was race, and now they are, and they're successful. You're like, that's impressive that they just.
Well, I think that a lot of people
do that.
don't know what they want to do or don't know what they're going to do, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's totally okay.
And it's okay to like go through your schooling, learn things, and then also not know what you want to do, and then figure it out later. Some people know right away. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a cop. I want to be a firefighter. Like that's cool because we need those
Very
people,
cool.
but we also need crazy people.
And
You know what I mean? Because if everybody was just on the straight and narrow, this whole thing would be boring.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
If no one like veered off course and kind of like bent the rules or
You wouldn't have mini trucks.
you would just have boring vehicles.
Yeah.
And where would you go? You would have this boring car that you get in and it's just for transportation, and you just go from point A to point B. And there are those people. There's more people. There's more of those.
There's more
of those than us.
And I'm reminded of it every time I use my truck, like it's a daily thing, and people are just like, "What is wrong with you?" You see them at the light, like they don't want to like, but they're like, "What's
my favorite
wrong with
part,
this
though.
guy?"
That's exactly.
Yeah.
There's people that only use their vehicles literally for transportation A to B. They'll go buy like a Nissan Versa.
Yeah.
Which again, that's a very smart thing to do. That car's $17,000. It'll last you however many thousands of miles.
For sure.
It's cheap on fuel.
Yeah, there's
and
nothing
it just
smart about our trucks.
and it's funny because car guys, we kind of shit on those guys a lot of times or shit on those people.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, well, why like.
There's another type of person that kind of bugs me, and it's the people who like they say, well, you don't even know how to change your oil. Like you can't have a car, you don't know how to change your oil or know how the motor works. Like they don't need to know that. To them it's a tool. They put gas in it, they go drive it around, the car will tell them when to change the oil, and then they go take it to someone.
And where they're going is that's what they're doing is where they're going is maybe they're a doctor, so that's their job, or maybe they're a tax person, or maybe they're a whatever they are. That's where all they know that. You know, imagine a doctor going like, you don't even know how to fix a bone.
I know, you don't know how to
You don't know how to tie
Why do you even have
Why do you
have an arm? You don't know how to fix a broken bone.
Exactly.
What's wrong
That's
with
a good analogy.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why I really enjoy watching what you do and all this stuff is because you're super positive all the time.
Yeah, dude.
There's no negativity. There's no.
Well, that's because you're just not one of the two friends I can point to.
Poor suckers, dude.
Yeah, but from the
bad.
outside looking in, so many people's social media is just full of their opinions or full of their venting or their what what they think of this person and why this person or politics. It's so
And to be fair, like, you know, like for a while, I'm sure there's times when I was that. I know I was that person.
I was that person, 100%.
Yeah.
My old way was that person.
And you know, and I tell everybody this honestly, like COVID, like changed me. It like the pandemic, like shutting, like that whole reset, like it really like made me take stock within myself and go, okay, what's important? What's really going on? What's this? If you didn't this is not a political statement. It's just like it really made me focus on like me, my family, those that are important in my life,
Yeah.
and where we were headed in the future. Like you have 20 good summers in your life where you can get on that beach and look great in a swimsuit.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's true. That's true.
Are you just gonna freaking lie on the shore? Or are you gonna get out and splash in the waves?
Yeah.
Like
I
I
like
just
that.
want to get out, and I want to
like
splash
that,
around a
dude.
bit.
Dude.
I want to like maybe it's a jellyfish and or maybe it's a dolphin and I'm riding that puppy. I don't know. Like,
But the internet.
But sitting on the beach in the sand, burning, like nah.
Do you want to sit on the shore or get in there and splash?
And the internet is such
right?
the internet
I like
is such a crazy place, so it's refreshing to see just fun stuff.
Yeah.
Regardless, your opinions are your opinions, and you're this or this,
For
or
sure.
you're this, and you talk to your friends about that, like how you were saying.
Correct.
You
You keep that for behind closed doors. You keep that for post podcast. You keep that for right.
the dinner table,
Yeah.
like we used to.
Yeah, like civilized folks.
Yes. Yeah.
You argue at Thanksgiving. You give everybody a hug on the way out the door. You see
then
them again
that's
next
it.
year.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good point.
And I think it's very important. You know what I mean? Especially for anyone that's creating any type of content. I think it's just like you're very real about your
That's it right
truck
there.
build. Like you're not saying this is all good times.
No.
This is
I was just gonna hit you that, like, because I've met people that, like, I can't believe it. I've met some really famous people, and people will tell me, like, hey, what's that guy like? Or, like, or, you know, or even people you may know, and they'll be like, oh, don't worry, he's not like that all the time. And you kind of makes you question, like, what do you mean he's not like that all the time?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I like the people that are genuine,
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, there's no apologizing for the. It's like you ever go to somebody's house and they're like, oh, sorry about the mess. Why? Like, don't say sorry at your house.
Yeah.
Like, be how you want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's nothing to apologize
don't
for.
say sorry, just clean it up.
If it bothers you, then you should do something about it. 'Cause I don't care. I'm just your friend. I'm coming over to borrow some oil.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
out. Like,
That's so hard filming.
I think that people have this, like, and it's hard, especially with social media now. But I get that comment all the time where people are like, I just like that you show the bad times, and I like that you. I was like, I don't know how to do anything but be me, man.
Yeah,
like,
that's
the good and the
that's
bad.
it.
Well, the internet's there's
Like,
a lot
I
of
don't care.
there's a lot of pressure
My
to
hair's messed up. I broke my shocks 3 times. Like, whatever.
there's a lot of pressure to like create this character,
Right.
and instead, like, no, I just want to see like Frank. There's a character that Frank. When we started this podcast,
Yeah.
you put the shades on, he'd become
Yeah.
custom like Frank, and I'm like,
Like, don't
I
do
just
that.
I like Frank.
Yeah.
I'm friends with Frank. I'm your friend because of the way you are, not anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone likes that because we're all quirky and we're all weird.
we're
a little weird.
We're all
We're all a little
we're
weird.
all weird. We're all wrong.
Yeah.
We're all this and we're all that, and it's fun to see that because I think that's the true connection with people, not the celebrity connection where it's like you see like an actor, an actress, or someone, and you think you connect with them because
Because you think they're one way, but they're not
Yeah,
really.
he's
Yeah.
just like me.
Yeah.
Like, he had to grow up in that.
Yeah. But when you see people, they just have problems like anyone else.
Yeah.
Broke the shocks, flat tire, didn't make it to the show, didn't make it to mini nets, da 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 da. Like,
That's it.
yeah,
I think that, and then the second part for me that's hard, even as a grown up now, to say out loud is like, dude, making that phone call and saying you were wrong sometimes.
oh
Dude, like,
man,
just say you're wrong. It
Yeah.
sucks. I feel like crap.
And ask
I'm
for
gonna
help.
agonize over
Yeah.
it all night before I pick up the phone in the morning. But I'm be like, hey, bro, remember you told me about those manual brakes?
Yeah, you're right.
And I've had to do that even during this build. I've been like, oh man, really? It was that easy?
Yeah.
The biggest thing, you like, if you're gonna build a truck, a car, project, start a business, whatever you're gonna do, it's crazy. Like when you learn to depend on yourself instead of like, I'm gonna get his opinion and I'm gonna get his opinion, and you go around and you collect all these things that you think are gonna help you finish this build. They're not. At the end of the day, your ass has to get out there,
Yeah,
put in the
that's a
work,
good point.
and depend on yourself
yeah.
to mess up and fix
Yeah.
it and get going.
Asking for help is good.
It's
not
hard.
not help.
And
Sorry,
maybe
but
this
like,
is a mental health thing for men. I don't know, but we're the worst at it.
oh yeah.
We're the worst.
Oh well, no,
at it.
we have a scapegoat now, which is Google Maps.
Yeah.
Because before you wouldn't ask for directions. That whole
And
thing.
that joke is so true.
Yeah.
That joke is
Directions,
bro.
like when you get something like I don't really need the directions.
If
but
I lost service just coming here today, I'm still gonna figure it out before I ask somebody.
we're so spoiled with that now. I think about that all the time.
Dude, I remember like having to print out the maps and get them laminated down at the shop. And go
Well,
pick
I was
them
a
up
pizza
for all my
delivery.
drivers
I was a
and
pizza
stuff.
delivery driver in.
Did you guys have the books?
Yeah, I had the Thomas Guide,
Yeah.
and it was a big area that I had to
Yeah.
deliver, and so I had to flip the pages.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is like I've navigated the SoCal freeways my entire life, so I'm very familiar. Like if I can't get you to an exact address, I can at least know where it's about.
Oh,
at,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I've gotten lost exactly twice, and Angie still, like, just the other day we were getting on the freeway, and I was like, yeah, we got to go. We were getting on the 60, and I said, she's all 60 West. I was like, yeah, 60 West. She's like, are you sure? I was like, Angie, I've navigated these freaking freeways my entire life. I know where I'm going. And then, but she's all, yeah, but remember that one time? Well, one time. But it was a really bad time, and this is getting very specific, but I had to go to Dana Point. And for some stupid reason, I was thinking Oceanside, so I drove all the way down to Carlsbad,
I did.
and then drove all the way up to Dana Point.
Me and Doug, we went to a Padres game one time, and I was like, okay, I'll drive home. I'm driving, or did he drive? I don't know. One of us drove, but I was like, wait, why are we? This is weird that we're hitting this. We were hitting the immigration.
Oh yeah.
Thing on the 5. On the 15, it's a big hill.
Oh yeah.
On the 5, it's still flat. And I go, this is not the 15.
No,
I go,
this
we're
is
on the
wrong.
5, man. We had to go through Ortega's
Oh,
to get back
over
over.
the pass, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Guys, we're weird.
Guys are strange.
Remember when you got lost
People
when we
are
went to
strange.
NorCal?
Oh yeah.
I said,
I did that too.
Frank, make sure you stay. It gets weird up in Sacramento and the 99 and the 5 and stuff. So just make sure you stay on the 5, like 99 to the 5. Oh, okay. I went to sleep. I woke up them all.
I started seeing like pine trees and stuff from all.
This doesn't look right.
We were going to
Doesn't
Reno.
look right, yeah. We're heading to Reno. But hey, to this day, I just was up there last week. I'm like focused.
Well, you only do it once.
Yeah, you only do
it once because then you're just like, no,
Yep.
I know. Even when the phone tells you, sometimes it gets confusing.
Yeah, you're like, no, but I've learned to trust the phone 100%. Because even
Sometimes.
I don't know. Like, even though I've said that, like, I know how to navigate my way around. Sometimes I'm like, if it's all like, dude, turn here, I'm like, okay, because I've been like, no.
I was coming home with a buddy one time. We were delivering a trailer to back east, and I went to sleep. We're driving from College Station, Texas,
Oh yeah, I've been there.
to El Paso. So we weren't on the 10 or the 20 or anything. We were on just a state highway. And I go to sleep and I wake up. I hear him getting out the freeway. Kind of wakes me up. And I was like, maybe he needs gas. There's no gas stations. And he makes a left. And he goes over the freeway. And then he's making a left again. I go, where are you going? And he goes, the phone told me to. I go, you're going on a dirt road into an orange grove. Or these groves of trees. I go, do you think the direct to get from College Station, Texas, back to Southern California
Is through an
that
orchard?
it takes you off of the freeway and around and through trees? And he's like, no. Almost sometimes the phone.
It's okay. That's fair.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
Fair.
But the phone does know where accidents are, so it kind of guides you around them. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for sitting with us.
Yeah, mini nats.
this was fun.
2025.
Yeah.
That's my goal now.
Are you ready?
That's my goal now.
Heck
right?
yeah.
That's my goal, but I was sitting around the other day and I went, my truck hasn't left my garage in a few months. See, I don't work on my own truck. And actually, going back to that real quick, I realized doing this, I'm going to have to start working on my own vehicles if I want to keep this build YouTube channel going.
Content.
Yeah, because with relying on other people,
Yeah.
you're now on their schedule.
What's really cool is you have the opportunity to just, like myself. I'm not saying like you're unique to that aspect of it, but like there's things you can do that other people find interesting, even though that we don't. I get so many people that ask me, why didn't I explain X, Y, and Z more? And to me, that was boring. I'm just like, yeah, there's 1,000 YouTubes on mounting shocks on a mini truck. But you'd be surprised how many people would like to see you install your bezel correctly around your radio.
I know. It's
so there are
insane.
things you can do to keep your content going.
It's insane. That is a whole thing. And I'm trying to learning in this space too of like making these types of videos. People like, oh, I wanted to kind of see you do that more. I wanted this. I wanted that. And to me, like you said, that's boring. I want to speed through that. I don't need to show that.
You don't need 30 minutes of me grinding this part out.
Yeah, it is. It's a learning process of what to show and what not to show.
Yeah.
And because I'll be like, oh,
Well, at least you have like a film mind or videographer type mindset with I'm like shooting in the dark, dude. I'm using iMovie. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, but it doesn't matter what you're using to
I'm
edit.
like
They're all.
passing stuff off to my interns sometimes, getting them to do stuff for me.
It's one of those things. That's why I watch a lot of YouTube, even if it's a
Not car
van
related,
life,
yeah.
even if it's van life or
yeah.
camping or whatever it is,
Sure.
because I'm watching how they tell a story.
Picking up little tidbits here and there.
Yeah, because all you're doing is telling a story.
Sure.
So you're like, oh, they did. That's interesting. Like I watch just a lot of cooking where they like drive out to a campsite and they're like, we're gonna cook this meal tonight, or This guy that drives into New York City, pulls over on the side of the road and cooks a fucking Michelin star meal on the side of the road in an alley in New York.
Wow.
Like, but just the way they tell stories.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm taking tidbits
cool.
of that. Yeah.
Gives
So
you
it's like-
gives you motivation or,
Yeah.
or insight into what
yeah,
you're doing.
yeah, exactly. So I take that and try to transform
I
that.
watch
into
all
me.
that and then I just put the same old trashy video out.
Same.
Yeah.
I go to edit it and I'm just like,
This
they're
works.
gonna watch it,
Whatever,
whatever.
whatever.
It's gonna be the same 20 views. Like, whatever.
Same 20 views, same 5 comments.
Should have painted it pink. That's all I ever get. It should have painted it pink.
That's a random one.
Just tell them it is.
I think it's saying something about me. I don't know.
Who knows?
To be honest, there's been way more positive stuff.
Oh
than there
yeah.
has
Oh,
been.
there's always that like
You know what I mean?
small thing. Yeah.
There's been way more positive stuff.
Well, that's always focus on the positive and just don't worry
The
about the
negative
negative.
stuff is funny because it's just like
Sometimes the negative stuff is constructive, and sometimes
Yeah,
it's
it
just
helps get the views
sometimes
up,
it's
'cause you
stupid.
have
Well,
to-
but sometimes it's stupid. But like we dealt with this just recently, just about it's not a negative. Like sometimes people
it's
are
constructive. It's honest criticism or
honest,
critique.
yeah, and it's
Critique.
honest. It's the way you're taking it too.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's, I think
because text can be conveyed like
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We've all been guilty of that. Like,
Here's a
what
question for you: When
Like,
someone responds to you with a thumbs up, how do you take that?
I always took it because maybe this is a generation thing, but I always took it like, hey, that guy likes what I'm doing.
Oh.
That's how I always took it.
Okay, this
It
is
wasn't until my 17-year-old son told me that it was like, if you, buddy. Like, I didn't know. I just thought it meant like, you know.
so.
That's so funny, dude.
That's what I thought.
So we have this ongoing thing. So when someone gives me the thumbs up, to me they're saying, okay, cool. Like it's
Yeah,
it's
okay,
either
cool. Roger that.
like an end conversation type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people take it as like how your kid takes it. Like
Yeah.
like that's how I take it. I'm like,
Yeah.
they're all thumbs up. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's the difference between K or okay.
Exactly.
Right? And I didn't know that. I thought it was just like,
You're like, hey,
cool,
good job.
job.
yeah, same here. because it is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not what like how you take it. That's not it. If you're talking to me and I do that to you, do you take it like I'm going?
No,
Okay.
not anymore. No, I've
Yeah.
I've definitely changed my mindset. I've changed my mindset.
Plus, there's the thing, like, and this is just me. I was not always this way. I am not trying to make up for lost time. I'm not trying to buy my way into heaven or anything you believe in with space or any of that good stuff. I'm just trying to say that nowadays, the person that I try to be the best person I can every day, and I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't know if your dog just got ran over and you
Yeah.
almost dropped your phone and you were just like, you
Yeah,
know, or if
that's
you were just
true.
like, oh man, this guy really tried hard. You know, or like,
Yeah.
I always try to like look at it that way.
That's
the
really-
second
that's
or
really
third
good.
time around, I'm like, oh, this dude's a prick.
Yeah.
He really thinks I should paint my truck pink.
That's good advice, man. That's,
Well,
that's
you know,
definitely
like,
advice. I need to
I've taken that
Life is
advice.
short, man.
Well, I've taken that advice and given it to myself now when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Like if someone cuts me off or they're in the thing, and I'm just like, just let them go.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like-
had a driver a long time ago that I used to think was crazy because, you know, the worst thing you want to do is be in a semi truck and drive any type of transportation or delivery service, right? Everybody knows we don't give them enough space. We don't care. Screw him. He can figure out how to get his own way backed up. He would always put this sign out the window, like, have a nice day. It was like a smiley face, like, have a nice day. And I was like, that dude's crazy. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that dude had it right the whole time. Because it's just better to be, like, right, Nacho? Better to be, right, one asshole on the road than two today.
That's true.
My,
Hey,
my man
that's
Nacho used to say that, and I'm like, you're right, dude. You're
That's
right.
true, dude.
Better. Because what's it going to do? It's going to set your whole chain of events of motion
Yeah.
that day. Now you're going to be sour at everyone you meet because
Yeah.
that dude cut you off. Why? Why give him that power?
And that
guy.
dude could be crazy.
And that dude could be, he just
He could be crazier than you.
That's what
just
scares
be
me
crazy.
nowadays. And that's a whole other thing. But
That's a whole nother thing.
Because as crazy as you are, there's other crazier
they're
people.
crazy.
You're always going to meet crazier. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah, you're always going to meet crazier. Yeah.
Yeah. On that note,
But that's a good advice, man. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. That's some great advice to end it on.
yeah, there's always someone crazier, so
always
don't
someone-
mess
No,
with
no, not
nobody.
that. The
That's a
one
great
that-
t-shirt.
The
Print it
advice
up.
before. The advice before.
Nacho's advice?
Before Nacho. That Nacho's advice too, and then the previous advice, which is just be cool, man.
Just be cool. Have fun.
Give
Be a good
everyone the benefit
person.
of the doubt,
Yeah,
man.
don't worry about it.
Like, I know you're wrapping it up or whatever, but I have people that were like your best business buddy that maybe that ended on a sour note or something, right? And stories have got back to you of he said, she said, and somewhere in the middle and that third truth, right? Like what? Who cares?
Yeah,
I'm not running around trying to negate that stuff. I don't.
it doesn't. If that's how they felt, I'm sorry they feel that way, because I learned a lot from that person. I had a great time with that person, and I'm always gonna look at that person like I'm gonna hold them on high. Like those were great times together.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, did the end sound kind of sour? Yeah, sometimes it does, but that doesn't mean they're a shitty person.
Man.
Things just happen.
If everybody could just be like Ben,
I don't know about that.
the world would be a better
It
place.
doesn't leave a lot of dollars in your bank account.
Right on, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for
thank you
sitting
guys,
for us.
man.
You want to shout out your YouTube channel? We'll link everything below, but if you
It's
want to,
just Ben Turack.
yeah,
That's it.
Just Ben.
and your
Yeah,
Instagram,
Ben Turack.
Skillset Ben.
Ben Turack, because you see YouTube's doing like the same. You can go get your
Yep. You
name
can
now. Or
change
what,
it.
so I just kept it all the same. Everybody's like, why don't you have a cool channel like something Fab or something Garage Works or something? I'm like,
Yeah, no, this works.
No,
I'm like,
I think
cool.
I think that's better.
Google
honestly.
doesn't say anything about what Google does.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly think
You know?
like a lot of people should use their name more, if they're
Just
as long as they're comfortable with using their name. But it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to add like false hope to people, like they're going to come there and
Yeah, I know.
actually learn something
Welcome to
useful.
Rad Fab, and it's just
And listen,
Ben
I'm not,
grinding in
I
his
am
garage.
not dissing on
They're like,
anybody
this
that
is not
does.
very rad.
Yeah, I am not dissing on anybody that does either. Like, this is not like some subliminal backhanded
No,
like,
it's just
you
funny.
know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of channels that have all, and I'm like, man, they got good intros and great names, and
I want to talk about that real fast. The
Uh-oh.
big intro thing, and then the low that like this fire and woo, and then media or whatever, and then it just goes into this.
oh, you mean the early channel of mine?
Oh, you had that?
Yeah. Did you ever see that?
No.
Yeah, so I used to have this channel. It was like a sizzle reel, like they make for.
Yeah.
Like, I learned this term when they sign you up for Discovery Channel. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna come in and we send some guys down, production dudes, producers. We're gonna do some sizzle reels of you guys, right? And like blah blah blah." And like the sizzle reel is like, there's me riding on a tank. There's me on my Harley, right? I'm in a flame. I'm shooting a Vietnam era flamethrower at some ranch in Texas. Don't ask. It's crazy. And I put this whole thing together with this music, right? And like, it's 13 views. So, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's
back
just
to the
like
old-
it's like goes into Ben. There's like
Yeah, just back to the old place it, image, camera, roll credits.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you go check it out. Ben Turack on Instagram.
Thank you guys.
This is
Skillset
officially
Ben on-
our longest podcast.
Oh,
Now, what are we at?
shit.
245.
Nice.
Some
we
people
beat
would
Oliver.
say like,
Yeah, you
that's
beat
crazy.
Oliver.
Yeah,
Beat
wow.
Oliver.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oliver's a dude. That dude is awesome. I've watched that podcast like 3 times.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's
We're
such
gonna
a
have to
good
get
guy.
back over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's so much more to uncover there. But
Yes.
Ronnie, you guys haven't done Ronnie yet. So
No.
that one, he might beat this.
Yeah, he
Maybe.
might.
We're
He's
gonna
got the
find out.
experience.
He's got a lot of stuff to talk about.
He's so
But he
positive.
talks fast.
He's good looking.
Yeah, he's got that
He's got the
whole
whole package.
the whole thing.
Right on. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.